Well, it's a splendid afternoon in Rio as we come inside to the Velodrome Olimpico de Rio for an excellent session of action on the track. Well, 17 gold medals will be handed out over 4 days of track cycling, this being day 3, and 4 finals, 4 medal events in this session. You saw the list there, and it starts with the fast and furious action with 2 time trials.
So the first race up in the second session on day 3 is the men's C1, 2 and 3 1,000 metres time trial. We have 26 competitors in total, and they are racing across those 3 categories. And to even out the competition, a factor percentage will come into play for the C1 and the C2 riders. The C3 cyclists will have their raw time, if we would call it that, count towards the end result. No margin for error, 1,000 metres, and the fastest takes home the gold.
Yes, known in cycling parlance as the kilo, one of the toughest events on the circuit. 26 competitors here, 9 of them are from the C3 classification, and then we have a group of 9 riders as well in the C1 classification, and then the others are C2s. So they are evened out by that percentage factor, and as soon as the athletes hit the line, we'll be able to give you a factored time so we can compare them. And our first rider out shortly will be Rodrigo Fernando Lopez of Argentina to set the early standard. To give you some sort of an idea, the C3 Paralympic record is 108.668. The C2 record is 115.858. And the C1 Paralympic record is 113.0. As the last minutes warm-ups are taking place in the middle of the velodrome. So far, over 3 days of competition in the velodrome, it's been good news for Great Britain. And again in this session, we will see Lewis Rolfe, the 19-year-old, in this time trial competition, as we're about to have a look at the start list. And then further on, we look forward to seeing Dame Sarah Storey, who is the most successful female British Paralympian. But we have 26 of them here in the men's 1,000 metre time trial, C1, C2 and C3 classification.
And as we look through that start list here, we'll look further down the list as we get to the competitors we'll see later in this competition. We have a number of world record and Paralympic record holders competing against each other in this event. So we see just about to come up on the screen as we round out the field the world record holder Arnoud Nijhuis from the Netherlands. The Netherlands, of course, hoping to add to their gold medal tally in the track cycling. They have already won one of those on day 3 of competition. And Li Jianyu, the Chinese competitor, he is the Paralympic record holder. That record set 4 years ago in London. And Xie Hao, who is also another Chinese rider, he holds the C2 record. That's the world record as well. So a very interesting competition indeed.
Our first rider is Rodrigo Fernando Lopez from Argentina, the 37-year-old in the 1,000 metre time trial in Beijing, finished in 5th place and finished 7th in London. In the London Paralympic Games, he was also a bronze medalist in the individual pursuits. Diagnosed with cerebral palsy at 5 years of age following a viral infection, and has competed now at 4 Paralympic Games all the way from 2004 to the Rio Paralympic Games.
So Lopez will be looking to add to that medal tally. As you mentioned, bronze in London in 2012. In the individual pursuit, his favourite event, 5th in this event, the 1,000 metres time trial C3. It was called CP3 in Beijing, but shortly after Beijing, the categories were changed and updated. And Lopez getting ready for the start. The start just being so crucial over this sprint distance. So just waiting for the timing system to be put in place. Long wait for Lopez. Here we go.
So away, the first of 26 riders in the men's C1, C2 and C3 1,000 metre time trial. So he will set the early standard. Speed, endurance, and also tolerance of that pain on the body required in this kilo test.
It is an all-out sprint, the kilo, a very difficult race, exploding out of the blocks, and you just need to maintain that top speed. And interestingly, we'll be able to compare the average speeds of the cyclists as we move through the competition. Generally, the quicker cyclists will be rounding out the competition later. So 4 laps of the velodrome. The early mark at 500 metres will be 41 seconds.
So there is a percentage factor of 92.69 next to the name of Rodrigo Fernando Lopez, being a C1 classification. So that will give us more of an equable time compared to the C2s and C3s later on. So heading towards the finish now, the 37-year-old from Argentina in the final lap, getting a generous reception from the big crowd here in the Velodromo Olimpico de Rio, and now the final turn into the straights. And the time, the early standard here, 1:20. In fact, I reckon there's been a bit of an issue with the timing there. It didn't come up automatically. The real time was 1:20.697, but that has been factored in now to 1:14.798. That's the early standard. Start, very crucial.
And a busy program for Lopez. As we see with a number of these cyclists, he's riding in 4 events at these Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. He'll also have 2 road races. As we look to our next cyclist, is Naida Munoz Marin from Colombia, 28 years of age, and has already placed 8th in the men's C3 3,000 metres individual pursuit.
Yes, born and resides in Bogota, and on the track in the Parapan American Games in Toronto last year, finished 3rd in the individual pursuit, and in World Championship racing, 6th in the team sprint this year, 11th in the individual pursuit. There's Naida Munoz Marin from Colombia. Best Paralympic athlete in Bogota in 2011, an award that was given out some 5 years ago. So the first of our C3 classification, and there will be no factored time here. Whatever Naida is able to achieve, that will be the time next to his name, and looking to better the speed of Lopez from Argentina, who is clocking around 48.12 kilometres an hour.
Yes, so we see the first lap will get an early indication, so just slightly off the pace, but no problems here. He looks as though he's gaining speed, settling in nicely, a good rhythm, very comfortable position on those aero bars, and he's really settling in for a fight here. So difficult in these early stages of the competition to go out earlier than many other competitors who are still to follow, and know that you just have to sit and wait and see whether your time's good enough. So we'll be rounding down the straight until he heads into the final lap here. Paralympic bell sounds.
So 1.45 off the pace here of Rodrigo Fernando Lopez, who set the early standard, obviously being the first rider out, but keeping some good form here, Munoz Marin, but showing signs of fatigue. A busy program here at Rio 2016, and the time 1:16.541. 1:16.541, so a shade slower, 47.03 kilometres an hour compared to Lopez's 48.129 kilometres an hour. But the way that the field is seeded, they'll just keep getting quicker.
As Marin lost the lower part of his legs during a fire at his home when he was just 18 months old. Gone on to become an elite athlete. As we move on to our next competitor, Chris Bosmans from Belgium.
The second of the 9 C3 classified athletes. Chris Bosmans, 36 years of age, from Belgium. And on the road, very good road racer, 5th at the London Paralympics 4 years ago. And on the track in this event, the 1,000 metre time trial, he finished 14th. So he'd be looking to improve on that in a field of 26 here. A top 10 finish as well in the individual pursuit. He has recorded some decent top 10 finishes in time trials over 4 years ago, especially at the Los Angeles World Championships back in 2012 in finishing 8th. Chris Bosmans of Belgium.
Bosmans has been able to improve his standing from the 3,000 metres individual pursuit in London when he finished 10th. Here in Rio, he finished 7th in the C3 3,000 metres. So doing well there. Can he do it in the 1,000 metres as well?
Well, certainly a different event to the 3,000 metres here, with the speed, the power, but also the endurance required to just really hold that speed, sustained speed required. It's such a tough event, and at this stage, 0.3 outside the time to beat, which is at this stage of Lopez.
So a slightly sluggish start for Chris Bosmans from Belgium, the 36-year-old. But he's trying to accelerate further. He's still half a second off the pace. We'll get another time at the 500-metre mark where he still has 2 laps to go.
So keeping in mind that time to beat on the left is of the athlete in his classification, the real time that was set. So we can compare. Now he's under. Now Munoz Marin from Colombia, his time was 1:16.541. He was 56.323 at this mark, and he is 1.26 underneath, so the Belgian's doing well.
Well, this is a really impressive ride from Chris Bosmans, because he has grown that deficit. He's gone from being half a second too slow to almost 2 seconds quicker. Let's have a look at that final time, 1:12.583. That is a new Paralympic record.
Well, really setting the standings early here. 1:12.583, a C3 Paralympic record that was set back in Beijing in 2008 by Darren Kenny. The time that was set there has been beaten, we believe.
So Chris Bosmans, rightly so, extremely pleased with that ride. See his little gesture to the crowd. Great crowd here at the Velodrome, thanking them for their support as we move on to the Spanish rider, Juan Jose Mendez Fernandez, who is a C1 rider. So here we have the 27-year-old Mendez Fernandez from Spain. He's already clocked a 9th position, so a top 10 finish in the 3,000 metres individual pursuit. And in the time trial in Beijing, when it was an LC4 classification, he was a silver medalist. And in London 2012 C1 category, he came 5th.
52 years of age. So he's been time trialling for a long time. Really, his pet event on the track is the individual pursuit, being the world champion back in 2011, and also a silver medalist in Athens and a bronze medalist in Beijing, as you mentioned. But he's going to give all he's got here. Time to beat after 125 is 3.38. But as we've seen already at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, Juan Jose really starts to ramp it up.
Well, he does indeed. Often it is difficult to get a good start in these events, coordinating the timing of the gate. And look at him crank it now. Mendez Fernandez trying to gain speed. He is a little off the pace, but don't forget he will have a factored time as he is a C1 rider.
Yes, indeed, there will be quite a chunk taken off his time as a result in that factored time. So it's not as wide a margin as you would think, although it is starting to blow out here at 8.1 seconds off the time to beat, which is 59.084.
So let's see, it does look as though Mendes Fernandez is a little fatigued. It is a very busy schedule here at the Rio Games, and he's grimacing there. The deficit has blown out to 10 seconds as he rounds into the final straight. The time to look for, 1:12.583. So let's get that factored time. It's 1:22.236.
So that puts Juan Jose Mendes Fernandez in fourth position at this stage. The current leader, Chris Bosmans of Belgium, a factored time of 1:12.583. Plenty of encouragement from the coach. And he's given us plenty of entertainment, Juan Jose Mendes Fernandez, in the individual pursuits. And now in the time trial, as you mentioned, after such a grueling program, it's a tough event because it's tough if this was your pet event. As our next rider is from Italy, Giancarlo Massini, 46 years of age. He is also in the C1 classification. He was born in the lovely Pontevico area, and in time trialing, very good on the road and on the track at the World Championships this year. He has finished 8th in the individual pursuit and 11th in this event, the time trial.
And he's has paraplegia as a result of a motor accident in 2012, so just 4 years ago, and now here he is competing at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and in that time has managed to squeeze in a fair bit of international competition. He's competed at 2 separate World Championships, 3 rather, in both the track and the road disciplines.
He's been a duathlete as well.
So the 46-year-old is a C1 classification rider. So the factored time again, important to pay attention to the raw time, if that's what we'll call it, but the factored time will be what counts.
Yes, so in his classification at the moment, the quickest has been Rodrigo Fernandez Lopez, so that is the time to beat on the left for the real time. And at this stage, let's have a look at the 375 mark. He looks as though he's going to be about 5.1 off the pace.
So Giancarlo Massini from Italy, another 2 laps to go.
Yes, this is the time where the lactic acid really builds up, and it's just sometimes a matter of mind over matter. Just keep the legs powering. Even if the mind's telling you it's starting to hurt, just keep going. The legs won't stop, and just starting to blow out here, almost at 10 seconds behind the pace of Lopez.
So the final 2 laps, he is dropping off the pace just a little here. Massini, who finished 7th in the men's C1 3,000 metres individual pursuit, as he comes down the home straight. Let's keep an eye on the clock. 1:29.351. That comes down to 1:22.786 in 5th position. So the fastest rider so far, Bosmans from Belgium, at an average speed of 49.5 kilometres an hour. And Massini averaging just under 43.5 kilometres an hour. As we welcome our next competitor. From Romania, Italia Ola. And he is 27 years of age, and this is his first event at these Games, at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. He's had plenty of experience at World Championship level in the last few years. C2 classification.
Be looking to better his 16th in the C2 classification from Montechiari, but has been participating in plenty of events at the top of the world in World Championships. He's looking for a solid top 10 finish here. The 27-year-old from Romania, coached by Florent Hérault, a personal coach as opposed to its national coach, and made his international debut in 2010. That was in a European Cup event in Belgrade. So his biggest moment to date, Attila Ola. Just taking a bit of time to gain some momentum here as he heads into the back section. He is a C2 classified athlete and is just over the 1.9 second mark behind his time to beat, although we actually have this particular athlete setting a standard here for the C2 classification.
Well, expect to see Ola power on from here. He did actually stay out of the saddle for the first half of the first lap. Now that he's settled in and found his rhythm, let's get an early indication here. He's about 6 seconds off the pace. A factor time will come in. He's C2, so not quite as big a discount on the time as a C1 classification athlete.
So this is where it starts to hurt. The final lap of the kilo. This is the men's C1, C2 and C3 1,000-metre time trial, and leaving the straight on the final occasion, just starting to rock and roll a little bit into the back, just using a little bit of the velodrome there, but overall keeping his form pretty well. Just a tired wobble there coming around the turn. And the finish, the time for the 1,000 metres, 1:29.031. 1:29.031, and that will have Attila Ola in 6th place in this men's C1, C2, C3 1,000-metre time trial.
So that factor time, 1:22.914, average speed of 43.418 kilometres an hour.
And that
First
factor time.
Yeah, first performance at Paralympic levels, so he'll be pleased to get that one under the belt.
Factored time 1:22.914 keeps him in 6th position.
So our next competitor, Billy Lister from the United States. He is 34 years of age. He did finish 6th in the men's C1 3,000 metres individual pursuit. He's another one of the US athletes who resides in Colorado Springs. Beautiful part of the world.
So 34 years of age, Billy Lister, and on the track, finished 7th in this event at the World Championships only 5 months ago or so, and just outside the medals in the individual pursuit.
Billy Lister, as we mentioned, a C1 athlete. So again, that factor percentage will be applied to his final time, evening out the competition. So the C1 category, the athletes with the most impairments, on the sliding scale up to C2 and then C3. And if you're new to this discipline of the Paralympic Games, the classification goes from C1 right up to C5, and often there are categories combined in certain events with a factor time applied. Billy Lister is away. The C1 classification athlete who came 6th in the C1 3,000 metres individual pursuit, 34 years of age.
So a cautious start from Lister, and as a result, 2 seconds off the time to beat. And now completes the first lap and just losing ground there at 3.142. But it seems as though he reacted there up the straight and is now starting to lift the tempo. He seems to be surging, but then immediately losing ground again. As we have a look, yes, back to 4.32 now. Another one that is competing in 4 disciplines here at the Rio Paralympic Games.
Yes, so quite commonly we're seeing with a number of these track athletes, they will cross disciplines to the road events, which are in the second week of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. The first 4 days of competition dedicated to track cycling. We see Billy Lister just slipping off the pace a little further, but he's doing well. He is relatively, you know, he is holding and not slipping away too much.
124.580 gets ratified to 118.397. 118.397. So of the 7 riders, we can work out a bit of a standard now, with Billy Lister now sitting in 4th place from the USA. So 7 down with 19 still to compete here. So it's going to be a hard gold medal to win.
The man you see on your screen now is Eric Winkler from Germany, and he was unlucky. He missed out on a medal, came 4th in the men's C1 3,000 metres individual pursuit earlier in the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and he will be wanting a medal here. Very strong road cyclist and very experienced competitor too. He's competed across a number of Paralympic Games as far back as Athens. He's been to Beijing, London, now here in Rio. So the 48-year-old, plenty of experience, and again competing across 4 events here in Rio.
It'll be interesting to see how explosive Winkler is, because he had a tough campaign in the individual pursuit. He actually ended up, after his prosthesis became detached halfway through his qualification round, after he'd competed probably 1,000 metres and then had to ride it again and then ride in the final. So it's been a big campaign on day 2 of the track cycling program.
Yes, and I really felt that he was a little tentative with his start when he raced again in that 3,000 metres pursuit, having in the back of his mind no doubt that his gear had failed him once previously. Let's hope he doesn't have any issues here.
So Eric Winkler, he's been a crowd favourite here. He's really appreciated the Brazilian crowd. So appreciative of his efforts on day 2. And let's see how he squares up in this 1,000 metre time trial. At this stage, 2.16 off the time to beat, but trying to up the ante as he comes up the home straight after 1 lap. We must reiterate as well that the previously declared Paralympic record set by Chris Bosmans was actually incorrect. There was some sort of error in the computer system, and that has actually been wiped away. So Darren Kenny, with that C3 record, that actually stands at 108.668. So there was a computer gremlin that came into the system there. At this stage, as we're watching Eric Winkler from Germany in the C1 classification, he is just slipping off the pace here at the moment. It still has 1 lap to go, and look at the German coach trying to rally him.
It certainly is indeed. The Paralympic record in the C1 category is 1:13.009. But look at Winkler now, he's trying hard. He certainly hasn't slipped back any further. If anything, he's just nipped in that deficit just a little, remembering that the factored time will come into play. He's come across the line in 1:23.908. Brings it down to 1:17.774.
He did a good job. He was able to hold his form in the last 250 metres despite becoming tired, and that factored time has improved him up to 4th position. So at this stage, down in 4th from 8 riders to grace the velodrome, Eric Winkler of Germany in a time, a factored time of 1:17.774. The coach rousing him for just one more extra effort in the final lap of the velodrome, and the German fans have loved it.
Please now welcome to the track our next rider, who is about to take it to the start.
So at this stage, after 8 riders, Chris Bosmans of Belgium, just reiterating, that was a computer error, so no Paralympic record for Chris. Rodrigo Fernandez Lopez in 2nd, and Asnaida Munoz Marin from Colombia in 3rd at this stage, this early stage of the men's C1, C2 1,000-metre time trial.
Jin Yong-sik from the Republic of Korea, aged 38, and he's already had an outing at these games. The men's C3 3,000 metres individual pursuit, he finished 10th. And a very strong road cyclist. He won gold in Sydney.
So competing in 4 disciplines after being 10th in the men's C3 3,000-metre individual pursuit on day 2 of the track cycling program here in Rio. And this is quite a good start. He is currently the fastest on the track at the moment after half a lap. Can he sustain it? Let's see if the 250 metres. Oh no, he's just over again.
So in London 4 years ago, in the C123 1,000 metres time trial, he finished 17th. He'll be looking to better that position. There's 26 riders to go through in this session. As we get another update with the time, he's now slipped almost 1 second off the pace. Let's see if he's able to crank it up for the last 2 laps.
So Bosmans, who was able to clock a time of 1:12.583. He is the C3 classification as well. So Jin Yong-sik just has to go quicker than that if he is to beat it. But at this stage, he is 2.1 off the pace. So really has to lift here in the final 125 metres, as he's looking to post the best time he possibly can, but he's slipping away.
He is just a little. He did drift above the red sprinters line on that second last turn, but he comes across the line in 1:16.044. And no factor in play this time, as he is a C3 rider, Jin Yong-sik from Korea.
So 10th in the individual pursuits, and looking, I'm sure, for another top 10 finish here, but it's going to be a mountain to climb with 26 riders. Basically, anyone that is C1, C2 or C3 classification here at Rio 2016 is involved in this time trial. It's just a dash for the cash, if you like, and we're going to see our 10th rider out, Michael Semets from Canada in this C3 class, 20 years of age, and on the track he was runner-up in the individual pursuit at the Paralympic Games in Toronto World Championships. He was 8th in the pursuit, 14th in the time trial, and he finished just outside the medals in the individual pursuit here on day 2. So he's having a good games.
So Michael Semets, the Canadian, he's away. And as you mentioned, 4th in the C3 3,000 metres individual pursuit. Fantastic to see such a young cyclist, just 20 years of age, To be finishing right up there will give him a good confidence boost, and I suspect we will be seeing a lot more of him.
The first of two Canadians in this men's C1, C2, C3 time trial, with also Tristan Chenauve going later, expected to go very close to a medal. But can Michael Semets give Canada a really good start here in this competition? At this stage, 2.40 off the pace. His time will stand, being in the C3 classification, coming into the grueling final 250 metres in a moment, about to receive the bell.
Michael Semets just slipping a little further off the pace there. Let's get another update. Well, he's managing to hold it now. He's not slipping back any further. This last lap, so crucial. He really needs to dig deep here.
It is tough, the final half a lap. The crowd encouraging Michael Semets from Canada. Comes around the turn. You can see the time to beat. It won't be that, but it will be okay. 1:15.171. 1:15.171, and at this stage, after we've had 10 athletes grace the velodrome, he sits in third place.
So Michael Semets, 47.890 kilometres an hour, for those of you who are keen to know exactly how fast they're getting around this velodrome. And Semets, of course, a C3 classification cyclist.
So the Canadians with plenty to cheer about, and they still have Tristan Chenauve to look forward to later in this event. He will be the 24th rider out. But our next rider is Roger Bolliger from Switzerland, a C2 classification, 41 years of age, and he is coached by Daniel Hurst, the national coach of the Swiss cycling, paracycling team. And here in Rio, 9th in the individual pursuit.
So the 41-year-old Bolliger from Switzerland, he's away. And as you mentioned, 9th already in his first outing at these games, the 3,000-metre individual pursuit for the C2 classification. So again, we do need to keep an eye on the clock, but we also need to remember that the factored percentage is in play, as he is a C2 classification rider. So 2.762 off the pace at this early stage. And Bolliger was involved in an accident at work which resulted in his right leg being amputated above the knee.
So this is a C2 classified rider, so there will be a factored time come into play. So at this stage, not losing that much ground, 4.45 seconds off the time to beat, with a percentage taken off the time at the end. So 250 metres to go. He really just has to try and hang in tough. The 41-year-old from Switzerland, and the crowd are cheering him home.
Well, let's see whether the crowd can get behind him for this last lap, the final straight for Roger Bolliger. That's enough to put him in 6th position, even with the factored time taken into account. So that final time, 1:17.447.
So at this stage, it is Chris Bosmans, who is the 3rd rider out. He's been in the clubhouse for a while, but he still has the best time of 1:12.583, ahead of Rodrigo Fernando Lopez, who was the 1st rider out in this 1,000-metre time trial, a time of 1:14.798. And holding 3rd at this stage is Michael Semets from Canada, 1:15.171. But things will change as we see another Canadian now. The silver medalist in the pursuit, Ross Wilson, is next out.
Silver medalist here in Rio already in the
34-year-old Ross Wilson from Edmonton, a beautiful part of the world. He was also runner-up in the individual pursuit in the last 2 World Championships.
Yes, as you mentioned, already a silver medal in these games. Let's see what he can do here.
Made his international debut only 2 years ago in 2014, so to date this is his biggest moment. a chance at a medal at a Paralympic Games. And at this early stage, after 125 metres, he's just under a second off the pace.
So he's gotten away to a good start, Ross Wilson. We need him to build on that, maintain speed. Remembering we've got some strong cyclists still to come, but he's managed to do that. Oh no, he hasn't. He's actually gone over, rather, 1.654. So he's dropped back a little on that second lap, but he's managing to rein it in again now. So let's see if he can find his rhythm, find some consistency.
Has lost his line a little bit in both of the straights, just with the extra effort that he's putting in, and you can see there just overcooking that corner a little bit as he goes down the back section. At this point, 2.4 off the pace, and Ross being a C1 classified rider, so that time will be ratified at some point. 2.683 outside the time required.
So Ross Wilson on his final lap, the time to beat 108.303, but remembering his time will be brought down by the percentage factor because he is a C1 rider. So he's going to come across the line in 1:24.29. And that is enough to pop him into second position. So he'll be pleased with that effort. Now it's a wait and see game. Remembering we do have some very strong competitors, including 2 world record holders in 2 separate classifications to come, and a Paralympic record holder.
So with the C3 classification times that don't get ratified as far as a factor percentage is concerned, and then the C1 and C2 classifications, at this absolute overall stage, it is still the C3 classified rider Chris Bosmans from Belgium who leads, and it's the time to beat at the moment. The actual benchmark is 1:12.583. Our next rider is Amador Granados Alcorta from Spain, a C3 classified rider, so his time will stand. The 49-year-old.
And this is his first event of 3 events in total at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. And when this was classified LC2 back in Beijing in 2008, he managed a 5th place.
And also 13th in Athens, so has performed well at Paralympic Games previously, but Beijing was certainly his best display in this discipline, the men's 1,000-metre time trial. And early doors looking in good form.
He is indeed stayed out of the saddle for over half a lap then. So 0.09 under the fastest time. So here's the fastest of the day so far. Just dropping back ever so slightly on the second lap.
Vamos com o ciclista da Espanha na pista. Ele é da classe C3. Amador Granados Alcorta, ciclista do País Basco na Espanha, acelerando aqui na velódromo do Rio de Janeiro. Lembrando que o tempo a ser batido.
So as they come down towards the middle part of the program here in this time trial, with 26 riders to grace the velodrome, the 13th rider is this man, Amador Granados Alcorta. Now, 103.651 is what we're looking at. He is 4.4 over, so unfortunately for him, the acid has built up, and it has really been a hard slog the last 500 metres, 118.378. So after 13 riders, he's 9th.
45.931, so almost 46 kilometres an hour for that speed there. And the fastest of the day so far, Bosmans, was averaging just a nudge under 50 kilometres an hour. The next competitor, Shoto Kawamoto from Japan. 20 years of age, another young cyclist, so we're seeing a full spread of newcomers as well as very experienced cyclists in this field.
And gave for Japan some real hope, of course, with Japan hosting the Paralympic Games in 4 years' time, along with the Olympic Games, finishing 8th. on day 2 in the men's C2 3,000 metre individual pursuit. He'll also be in the road race and the time trial, meaning with the team sprint, he's competing in all 5 disciplines. The exuberance of youth, eh?
So the Japanese athlete is away, Kawamoto. He is a C2 athlete. That is his classification. And
down the back straight he goes, and at this stage 1.461 outside of the benchmark. But it looks as though he's just starting to wind it up, and this is what we saw from him in the individual pursuit. Never say die, and look at that, he's starting to just claw back that time now, and he still has a fair portion of this time trial to go. 1.896. He'll start to hurt shortly, but he needs to keep this momentum up. Slowly but surely, 1.7.
so paring it back just a little there from 1.8 to 1.7. Let's get another update and see how he's tracking. Again, he's gaining ground here.
So the time to beat, 58.842. He's 1.7, so he's holding that form at the moment. So tough. You have to keep the speed, but you just have to keep the endurance and try and stay at that top level the entire time. The crowd cheering him down the back straight. Comes in towards the turn. The time to beat for his classification, 1:17.937, 1.3 off the pace. So once it's ratified, 1:13.802 for Shota Kawamoto, and that puts him at this stage in 2nd place.
Just finished 5th in the World Championship.
So Alvaro Galvez Pachera from Colombia, we've already seen him once at these games. He finished 4th in the men's C2 3,000 metres individual pursuit, and he's a strong road cyclist as well, but in the individual pursuit 4 years ago in London he finished 5th, so he did manage to improve that position to 4th this time round and was 18th in this event 4 years ago.
Well, what we've seen so far from Galvez Pachera is he can be quite explosive at the start. What will he produce in the early stages of the event, which you need to be as explosive as ever, the 1,000 metre time trial? Down the back section, time to beat 14.835, currently 2.142 off the pace, but expect some tempo to lift halfway through.
Galvez Pachera at the early point, 3 seconds off the pace. He's worked as a bike mechanic, describes himself as passionate about cycling and was a promising cyclist before losing his left leg after a cancerous tumour. So let's get another update here, halfway through the 500 metre mark. So he's managed to pare back that deficit just a little, 3.366.
So the time to beat on the bottom left is the time, the real time, that he needs to try and get close to. So once it's ratified, it can get near the benchmark of Bosman's at 1:12.583, which is the overall standard. So at this point, he's holding his form at 3.1. Time to beat 1:08.02 at this section. There we go. He's just starting to lift it late. So what's the overall time required here? 1:17.937 for his class, and he's 1.6 over. So once it's ratified, it's not bad. He goes into 3rd at 1:14 or thereabouts, 1:14.076. So he is 3rd behind Bosmans and Kawamoto now.
Well, a strong ride, a strong performance there. Currently in the bronze medal position, but remembering we have another 10 cyclists to come, and including world record and Paralympic record holders. So,
getting down to the last 10, hey?
well, we are indeed, and our next athlete is Masaki Fujita from Japan. He's a C3 athlete, so the time you see when he finishes his race will be the time that stands. It won't be brought down any further. He's 31 years old and already has a 5th place in these games in the men's C3 3,000 metres individual pursuit.
Made his debut for Japan all the way back 9 years ago in a World Championships in France. He's had a few little injury problems lately with a fractured bone in his hand in the last 10 months, which has interrupted his training, but he's here in fine form. Masaki Fujita, so as you mentioned, his time. Oh, it's been a start, an issue with the start here. Is there an issue with the prosthesis?
I think his chain might have slipped off
indeed.
at the back. So
well spotted. So he'll have a second crack at this.
Like the back wheel pulled forward because the chain has gone slack. As you can see, these riders riding fixed wheel bikes, and therefore you can't pedal backward. You can pedal backwards and forwards. There is no freewheel at all. And it looks like the back wheel was not tight enough. That's why we're going to have a restart.
okay, so we can hear there from trackside, they're just fixing the back wheel. It wasn't tight enough. It looked as though the chain might have slipped off. It was quite slack. I'll see. Things are looking there, but the whole team of technicians standing by at the start, ready to pounce should there be a technical issue, and that looks like the wheel is now in the correct position. You can see the position of the chain is much improved. Pretty handy, you might say. When I need to be, which isn't too often, thankfully. But just underscoring there just how critical it is to have your gear.
Well, it just could mean a split second, couldn't it? And as we've seen with these time trials and what we're doing with the factored times, every little bit counts, every sectional counts, every 100th of a second. So it needs to be right. All of the technology that's continued to flow into the sport over the years just to try and get that little edge, and that's what you don't need as a technical issue. A little bit unnerving, but Masaki Fujita looks pretty relaxed about it all.
Okay, so that back wheel just in place, back in place, and hopefully for Fujita a clear run from here. So he took a silver in Beijing 8 years ago and bronze in London. He'll have some high hopes for this performance.
So the benchmark as we head into the final 10 athletes in this field, 1:12.583, and that will be the time we'll be watching. There's no factor time here for the C3 classification. And where is he at the moment? He's at the 125-metre mark, heading into the home straight, and he's completed the first lap. And at this point in time, we haven't got a comparison, but it looks as though he's in good form. And yes, he's always 0.2 over, so not a great deal in it.
Managing to hold that speed though, and can we see whether he's going to power through? Fujita won't have a factored time, so a C3 cyclist. As the bell sounds for his final lap, let's get a look at the scoreboard.
Just losing a bit of ground there at 0.451 off the pace. He just needs to hold his form, grit his teeth, throw everything into it. Comes off the back, off the top corner of the velodrome. He's using a little bit of the velodrome now. He's getting tired. In at the straight he comes, and half a second, so he did lose more ground in that final lap. 1:13.1. 1:13.1, that means he's in second place.
It does indeed. So second place for now, remembering that we do still have some very good cyclists to come, but 49.193 kilometres an hour. Solid performance there from the Japanese cyclist.
Também, por gentileza, desligue os flashes de suas câmeras fotográficas e também dos aparelhos celulares. Também não pendure bandeiras na balaustrada, por favor.
So far it's Chris Bosmans from Belgium, 1:12.583, ahead of Masaki Fujita, half a second behind, and then it is in third place Kawamoto. So Belgium 1, Japan 2 and 3. And we still have 9 riders to come.
This cyclist you have on the screen in front of you, Liang Guihua, already with a gold medal at these Rio 2016 Paralympic Games in the men's individual pursuit C2 category.
On the track now from the People's Republic
So, off to a pretty slick start by the looks of it. Liang Guihua, and heads towards the back section. Now he will slowly build this up. So we're not going to panic too much if he's outside the time to beat in the first 125 metres. I think that's pretty respectable at 1 second over, considering that the time on the bottom left is the time that he needs to beat so he can be in front when the time is ratified at the end of the day. So down towards the back section, you'd expect him to be a bit closer here. 0.9, he's starting to ramp this up. So difficult, though, to keep that momentum going over 1,000 metres at top level.
Well, he's looking really good here, and if we see it's down to 0.389, and Liang Guihua, we do see him has this extraordinary ability to have a big kick, and look at this now, 0.066. And very keen to see what he can achieve in this final lap. But what a great ride from the Chinese athlete, hoping to add to his gold medal tally already at these Paralympic Games. The crowd really getting behind him now.
Have a listen to the noise in the velodrome, spurred on by the gold medal already that's been draped round his neck 24 hours ago. Comes into the home straight, he's going to beat the time for sure. Paralympic record for his category. It's a terrific time. The real time of 1:15.537, and that is a Paralympic record previously held by Tobias Graf in London 4 years ago of 1:15.85, and the factored time puts him in front as well, 1:10.347. Is that the first of the Paralympic records that's going to topple here tonight?
Well, I'm still very excited about some of the cyclists we still are going to see ride this event, but as we see Liang Guihua just so strong as he reaches top speed and just seems to be able to keep gaining ground. As we look to our next competitor coming up on screen, Diederik Schelfhout from Belgium.
Please welcome to the track on next.
So Schelfhout, C3 rider.
30 years of age, and in World Championships finishing 6th in this event in March in Italy, but was also the silver medalist at the World Championships in this event in 2015. Finished 9th in the individual pursuit here at Rio on day 2. So a tough task to enter the racing surface after having a Paralympic record set moments ago by Liang Guihua. Is the man from Belgium up to the task. Diederik Schelfhout, who heads down the back, and at this stage he's in the green, he's in front.
So Schelfhout hasn't had a great year because he broke his collarbone at the World Championships in Montechiari in Italy. That was in March this year, when most of these athletes would have been having a decent hit out months ahead of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Well, unfortunately for this athlete, it's been a difficult leader. As we see, just 0.230 off the pace that's required at the moment, but let's see how he can build through the final lap and a half.
A new challenge set with these sectionals now, with the ratified time of Liang Guihua. So down the straight he comes, just losing momentum here and getting tired. 1.42, really needs to grit his teeth here to post a decent tally and try and rattle them in the top 3. He is losing ground quite dramatically now.
He's tucked down on his aero bars. He's going to power down that straight. Let's see how he can, well, fourth position at this stage, so finishing outside any medal hope. And with a very busy program, having already ridden in the 3,000 metres individual pursuit. Maybe showing signs of a little fatigue there, but remembering 2 road events still to come in these games.
Well, thank you for creating such a great atmosphere here in this velodrome. We've got 8 riders left to take to the start to decide where this goes.
So next is Czech Republic, and they have just the one athlete in this field of 26 in the men's C1, C2, C3 1,000-metre time trial. This is Ivo Koblasa from Czech Republic. Koblasa, 23 years of age, and is a decent time trialer on the road, but on the track finished just outside the medals in the team sprint in London. In this particular event finished 13th, but he's on the improve and would be hoping for a better position here. A top 10 finish at least here at Rio. Was also 8th in the individual pursuit in London. 6th in the individual pursuit here in Rio. So if that's any guide, he is certainly on the improve as he's maturing.
Absolutely, and still just 23 years of age. It's fantastic to see these young cyclists coming out and performing on the biggest stage there is for paracycling. He's nicknamed the Pirate, and he's an all-round sportsman. Enjoys cycling, skiing, swimming, and has cerebral palsy. He was the 2015 Best Impaired Athlete from the Czech Cycling Union Awards.
Encouraging words from the coach. You can do this. So, for the overall competition, 1:10.347 is our lead time, and that was from a C2 classified athlete in Liang Jihua. So his real time was 1:15.537. That is what Ivo Koblasa is looking to beat.
Yes, indeed. So as we said, in that same category, the C2 classification, and look, he is off to a ripping start here. Look at this, almost 2 seconds under the time required. He's really going to need to make a statement if he wants to feature in the medals at the end of this competition. Just dropping off the pace a little, still 2 laps to go. Ivo Koblasa from the Czech Republic, just 23 years of age. He's slowing just slightly, getting a little tired. He really needs to come home strongly on the final lap.
Can he hold on? This is where his road racing ability has to come in. This is where the endurance has to come in. He is tiring. You can see him just starting to wobble a little bit higher on the velodrome. So now he's off the pace, 1.261. He's unable to sustain it. The final thrust coming around into the straight, and the time to beat, the real time to beat, 1:15.536. That is ratified to 1:12.399, and that will put him overall in 2nd place in the overall classification after 19 riders.
So Ivo Koblasa, I suspect we're going to see a lot more of him at the coming games in the next 4- and 8-year intervals, but a strong, solid performance here. But will it be enough to keep him in touch with the medals? Well, certainly we still have a lot of talent still to come, and this gentleman on your screen, Lewis Rolfe, already has a bronze medal to his name at these games in the individual pursuit, and will also switch disciplines to the road cycling in week 2.
It was a lovely moment in that event on the podium when he looked down at the medal, and instead of saluting the crowd, he just looked at the medal admiringly.
Look, he was pretty chuffed, and another young cyclist here, 19 years of age. He won the bronze in the time trial at Montechiari at the World Championships earlier this year, so has shown some excellent recent form, and he's also an exercise science student at Cambridge Regional College in Great Britain. Can Great Britain bring home another medal here? Such success so far in the 3 days of track cycling at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Rolfe is a C2 athlete.
So the time that the young 19-year-old is looking to beat is the real time of our leader, which is Liang Jihua from China. That real time set by the 32-year-old, 1:15.537. So they are the sectionals we are seeing on the bottom left, and off to a flyer, almost 2 seconds quicker after half a lap.
Well, that is a fantastic start from the young Brit, and look at him go. Let's see if he's going to be able to keep it up. So 1.950, edging back ever so slightly, but let's see if he can find his rhythm and power on through these next few laps.
You can see the power in the legs really moving quickly. 1.2 was the deficit there, urged on by the coach. He is decreasing a little bit, 0.632. Can he hold his form, hold his endurance here? It will be starting to hurt, heading towards the 625 metres. It is getting close, but he's still in front at this stage. He needs to really grit his teeth and hold on. Look at him go.
Well, so crucial this final lap, and the strength and conditioning really comes into play here. Still just under the required time. We'll get another check-in with 125 metres to go. He slipped back just a little, but let's see how he rides the corner and comes into the straight. He needs to beat the 1:15.536. It's going to be close. He's just missed it, but it is enough to slip into second position of this competition.
And his time of 1:15.789, to his credit, before this event would have been a Paralympic record. But of course that was already knocked over by Liang Jihua earlier on. But he now is in second position. That's an excellent ride. He put everything into that and sits second in the overall classifications here. It's Liang from China leading, Rolf from Great Britain second, Kablasa from Czech Republic in third. And interestingly, all C2 classified athletes at the top of the pops.
It is, and both of those athletes in gold and silver position have ridden above 51 kilometres an hour on average. As we look to our next competitor from Spain, Eduardo Santos Asensio, C3 classification rider.
27 years of age and on the track, team sprint world champion 2 years ago. And in fact, team sprinting has been his forte along with the time trial. He was the bronze medalist from Montechiari in March this year, and also 5th in the individual pursuits. Already 6th in the individual pursuit at these Paralympic Games.
So the second of 4 events that he's riding in Rio this year. So 27 years of age, he took up paracycling 9 years ago. From a cycling family, his grandfather, father and brother were all cyclists. And
been a good start. He's a second under, and this is the first lap. Yeah, he's still 0.883, but as we've seen, it is easy to slip away. He goes into the back, trying to hold that form. Just a couple of extra pushes there with the midriff. 0.6, he leads at the moment. And this is an excellent ride from Eduardo Santos Asensio. Is he able to hold it in the final 2 laps? Heads down the back section. He's just been able to slip over that mark now. So crucial, he digs in.
so pace just slipping back ever so slightly. Now it's blowing out to a little under half a second. Final lap here, it's very crucial. It's going to be hurting, it's going to be painful. The crowd is really getting behind the Spaniard. What can he do in this last lap?
Comes round the turn, and it's 1:10.347 the time to beat. He's 1:12.276. 1:12.276. And ironically, that was a quicker time than the standard of Bosman's that was standing for quite a time in this competition, but that's been blown away in the last few moments. So an excellent ride, and that puts him at this stage in 3rd place, but we'll have a tentative wait. We still have some 5 riders to come.
So Xie Hao from China, the current C2 world record holder. He set that world record in Mexico back in 2014, and 27 years of age. resides in Meizhou in China and competing at his second Paralympic Games. Has competed across both disciplines, and in this event in London was 6th. He'll be hoping to improve on that. Obviously showing some good form in the last 2 years. And was a silver medalist at the World Championships in Italy earlier this year in this event.
So making sure that he's positioned properly. Making sure that he feels comfortable. Final adjust of the helmet. He's ready. So it is Jihao from China, C2 classification. And at this point in time, first and second overall are at C2 classified. What about that? 3 seconds quicker after 125 metres. It's been explosive. It's been so fast. Is that impossible to hold because the pain will become intolerable? But at this stage, 3.5 seconds faster.
So Xie Hao's current world record is 1:13.235. So we'll keep an eye on the clock for that, but we're about halfway through at the moment. So it's around about 2.5 seconds under pace. We're seeing him drop off ever so slightly, coming up to the 7:50 mark as he rounds through his third lap, but dropping again back to 1.36.
You can see by the lean that he's losing his form as the fatigue sets in. He went a cracking speed early. He's only 1.9 under, so he heads towards the back section. What is the time to beat? 106.878. For the classification of C2, and he is losing his form now. 1:15.536 down the straight. He's tired. He looks at his coach. He can't give any more. And as it's ratified, 1:12.409, the factored time. And that means that puts him in 5th position, but so brave because he went for everything in the first 125 to 250 metres.
So we still have 4 cyclists to go, and very, very nervous time for Liang Guihua and Lewis Rolfe, the current gold and silver medalist positions. There's still 4 to go. There is a chance they could be pushed out of the medals. As we look now to Joseph Berenier from the United States, a very experienced campaigner, age 47, already has a silver medal from the individual pursuit at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games.
Born in Aurora, and he is participating in the 5 disciplines here. Winner of the individual pursuit in London and finished 10th in the time trial, looking to improve on that, but he is in good form, and also a bronze medalist in the team sprint in London. So even though he has a gold medal in individual pursuit, some decent time trial form, it might not be his absolute cup of tea, but time will tell. So Berenier, a C3 classified, the last of 9 to go in this field of 26. And the benchmark is 1:10.347. That's the time to keep in mind, 1:10.347. And so far, it's a decent start.
So Joe Berenier, yes, off to a very strong start here and looking to build through this as he finds his rhythm. Had a little wriggle of the torso coming out of that bend, but he's on his second lap now. Let's get another update on this time. He's half a second, so it's building. So he had a great start and he's managing to build on that now.
Yes, he certainly did up the power down the back section. The coach is urging him on. He's half a second in front as he heads down towards the back section. The power in the legs continues to motor. 0.486, so he's looking in terrific form here as he receives the bell. Remember that time I gave you, 1:10.347.
Well, this final lap is going to be very, very interesting indeed, because Joseph Berenier has dropped off the pace just a little, and you can see his .141. He's rounding around the final turn. The time he needs, 1:10.347. It's close, it's second position. Oh, Joseph Berenier, a stunning ride early. He got off to an incredible start, but just that final lap cost him dearly. So 1:10.512, and now a wait and see yet again. See whether he will be able to stay in the medal count with 3 athletes remaining.
So it's still a decent time posted, 1:10.512, putting in silver medal position with 3 riders to go. It's an anxious wait for those riders that have been and gone. Tristan Chenauve is next from Canada, one of 3 athletes from Canada competing in this particular discipline, and already a silver medalist in the individual pursuit, the C2 individual pursuit here at Rio 2016, and he is the defending world champion in this event, in the time trial, in this classification. So expect a big effort here by Tristan Chenauve. This is another big moment for him. Broke his back in a traffic accident in 2001. Made his international debut only this year. What a whirlwind 2016 for Tristan Chenauve, the 41-year-old. He's ready to go.
So he's away now, the Canadian who works at the Canadian Rockies International Airport, based in Cranbrook in BC, Canada, and he is off to a flying start here. He's more than half a second inside the required time, remembering he is a C2 athlete, so that time you see 1.066 seconds, so he's building through this second lap and doing very well indeed, looking comfortable.
So 1.276 is his lead at the moment over the real time of Liang, who still is in the gold medal position. 1.322, he's holding his form very, very well. And at this stage, his endurance is excellent as he heads down the back section. 1.331, this is impressive.
It is indeed. So rounding into the turn of his second last lap, and as we see here, so he's managing to maintain the rage there. 1.357 this final lap. What has he still got in those legs? Let's see it from you, Tristan Chenauve. The crowd is loving it.
Consistent, sustained speed. That's what it's all about. This is going to be a cracking time. Look at that. Paralympic record, another one. So it's 1:09.583, which is the factored time. But his actual time becomes the Paralympic record of 1:14.716. So previously, Tobias Graf held it before this session. Then it was broken by Liang Jihua with a time of 1:15.537, but that's a 0.7 improvement further. So he smashed the clock. Tristan Chenauve, 1:14.716 overall, a factored time of 1:09.583. So now we move on to 2 riders in the C1 classification. And this is Li Zhangyu.
There's the 28-year-old from China who lives in Hangzhou and already has a gold medal from these games, one of 2 gold medals to China in the track cycling event, and that was in the individual pursuit. And in the time trial in London, he was a gold medalist on the road and the gold medalist on the track. So incredible experience, incredible success, and still just 28 years of age.
He's a history maker, the first male Chinese paracyclist to win a Paralympic gold medal. That was in London. And guess what? It was in this event.
Great start there from Li Zhangyu. And you can see the coach, Li Peng, who's been very vocal throughout these events, cheering his athletes on, and he's expecting big things from Li Zhangyu, the 28-year-old. And look, what a great start. He's off to a flyer, 1.79 under the clock.
It was a terrific start by the 28-year-old, and he has just increased that in the first lap out to 2.2 seconds. Heads in towards the back section of the track, and it's just increasing. He's getting quicker and quicker as he powers through. Heads into the home straight at halfway. This will be a really good guide. Points 2 more added to that, so it's 2.2 quicker.
Li Jiangyu is the current Paralympic record holder. He set that in London 4 years ago, and can he go it again here? 1:13.009 is the existing Paralympic record, but if we look at the time he needs to beat, well, he's well under the mark at the moment, 2.36 seconds under. Let's see him go into the last lap.
There's absolutely no doubt that he's going to be on top of the entire classification after this. He's flying, but his world record and Paralympic record could be in danger. Oh, it's a world record. No doubt about that. It's a world record, Paralympic record, whatever you like, it's both. And he leads the classification. It's the treble, it's the box set.
Well, it is, and the crowd absolutely loves this Chinese athlete, Li Jiangyu. What a performance. He just keeps delivering here in Rio. He obviously loves this velodrome. He's comfortable under the pressure. He's comfortable with the crowd. And I tell you what, he'll be very comfortable with that world record. Thank you very much.
So the Paralympic record in the C2 classification has been toppled, and the world record in the C1 classification will be toppled as well. From this man, Li Jiangyu, who has recorded a time of 1:11.937, factored in, it is overall 1:06.678. So that means that Anu Nijhuis from Netherlands has to break the world record to win the gold medal.
Well, he certainly does, and Nijhuis is also a C1 rider, and he already has a bronze medal from the individual pursuit.
I must reiterate as well that the world record was held by this man before it was just broken by Li Jiangyu, so he'd love to break it back.
Well, he would, and if he needs any more motivation, it's right there in front of him. A bronze medal so far in this competition, 4 events in total, and gee, wouldn't he love to go one better than the bronze, or 2 better really, and win the Netherlands' second track cycling gold medal of these games.
So even though with the overall scheme of things, the time that is leading is 1:06.678, the real time that Nijhuis has to beat is 1:11.937. Keep that in the back of your mind, 1:11.937. That is the gold medal position at the moment and world record that was previously held by this man.
Well, he is off to a flying start as well, 0.296 of a second under the required time to win that gold medal. He can smell it, and look at this, he's building the lead, half a second under the required time. The test now is how he's going to finish with these final 2 laps.
So this is a real challenge. He's 0.6 in front. He's increasing his power and tempo at the moment. The 27-year-old from Netherlands. He has just seen the Chinese athlete break his record. What motivation that is. He's got 1 lap to go, and it's starting to decrease.
Well, he's dropping off the pace ever so slightly. Here is Nijhuis, and he really needs to power home. If he wants this gold medal, if he wants his world record back, he's dropping off the pace. It's blown over now, 0.4 over.
Has to ride for his life. It's not going to be. China's going to take the gold medal, and Nijhuis's time has been factored in to finish at 1:07.999, but it's going to be a silver medal to that man, Anu Nijhuis, and it's going to be dual gold, and he's just worked it out. Li Jiangyu, you've got the lot, my friend. Paralympic record, world record, gold medal, he's got the lot.
Well, Li Jiangyu was already a national hero in China, and they are going to be absolutely dancing in the streets with this performance. A world record, a second gold medal. It absolutely does not get any better than this at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, and he's just absolutely thrilled. Plenty of high fives, hugs, and congratulations happening there in the Chinese setup there in the middle of the velodrome. So there we have it, the final standings after the men's 1,000 metres time trial C1 to 3. Li Jiangyu the winner with a factored time of 1:06.678, followed by Nijhuis from the Netherlands. And in third position, we have Chernov, the Canadian, rounding out that in the bronze medal position.
Yes, and overall it'll be a Paralympic record in the C2 classification for Chernov with a real time of 1:14.71 and a world record in the C1 classification for Li Jiangyu with a real time of 1:11.937.
So interestingly, if we go by the raw times as well, Li Jiangyu was only slower than the C3 athlete Joe Berenyi from the United States, who rode in 1:10.512, but of course that factored time crucial. The two are in very different categories really, Li Jiangyu in C1 and Joe Berenyi in C3. So we move on quickly here at the Velodrome on day 3 of the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. We will have the medal ceremony a little later in proceedings, but we're back with the women now, and we're back with another time trial.
Yeah, and it gets quicker because it's 500 metres this time, and our first rider out is Jenny Narcisi. So 28 years of age, and we move to the C4, C5 classification here. So there will be a factored time for the C4 riders. Jenny 8th, so a top 10 finish in the 3,000 metre individual pursuit already at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. Coached by Federico Sinelli at club level and Mario Valentini putting the polish on as national coach. And after the first lap, setting the standard there, Jenny Narcisi heading down the back section, having to keep the power going, but just wobbling down low on the velodrome down the back section.
So Jenny Narcisi has a factored time. She's a C4 athlete, and here we have it. Here's the early time that's been set, 45.421, and a speed of 39 kilometres an hour, so just shy of 40 kilometres an hour her average. And this is Narcisi's second appearance at these games. She finished 8th in the C4 3,000 metres individual pursuit.
So after Australia gained their first gold medal of the cycling track program on day 2, that will certainly encourage Alexandra Lisny from Australia. The 29-year-old from Sydney, competing in 4 different disciplines here, made her international debut for Australia at the Oceania Championships in Australia 5 years ago, and is involved in both the road and track cycling programs, but also competed in para rowing, including the 2009 World Championships in Poland in that particular sport.
And as we so often see with our rowers, they do a bit of cycling for cross training, and then, well, Alex Lisny decided she'd keep on with that cycling, and here she is here representing her country at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. 29 years old, lives in Sydney, 6th already in the individual pursuit C4 category.
So being introduced by the venue announcer, Alexandra Lisny from Australia. Incidentally, in that World Championship rowing event, finished just outside the medals in the mixed coxed 4. So they'll all be watching at the Manly Warringah Cycling Club in Sydney, no doubt about that, as it is Alexandra Lisny taking off on her 2-lap journey.
Yes, it's fast and furious, and that start just so crucial. Let's get an early indication of how that start was. Well, almost 2 seconds under the previous competitor from Italy, Narcisi. So let's have a look. 1 lap to go. She's looking very comfortable, very strong, and building on that lead. So an early benchmark looks set to be broken, and Alex Lisny from Australia, from Sydney, about to round through the final bend and come down the final straight. She's going to need to post a quick time to be in the hunt for the medals. She's going to come across the line in 42.143, and let's look at that factored time, 48.23.
So she's given herself a fighting chance there. The 29-year-old from Sydney, Alexandra Lisney, the real time posted 42.143, factored to 40.823, an average speed of 44 kilometres an hour. So lifting the tempo some 4.5 seconds at least quicker than Narcissi from Italy. As Samantha Bosco is next out from the USA, a C5 classified athlete, so there'll be no factored time here. 29 years of age, Bosco resides in Upland and also a rower after earning a rowing scholarship, and rowed for 2 years, but also turned her attention to cycling.
So Samantha Bosco only started paracycling in 2012 after that rowing career, as you mentioned. And she takes to the bike. She already has a bronze medal from the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games in the 3,000 metres individual pursuit, the C5 category. And has performed well at national and international championships over the last 3 years. So Samantha Bosco looking to add to that medal, that bronze medal that she won earlier in these games. She's going to need to post a quick time because we've got the world record holder coming later on in her category. That's the C5 in the Chinese athlete Zhu Junfang. So it's fast and furious here, 500 metres only, and Samantha Bosco is gaining ground.
So this is where the power in the legs comes into play, because there's no endurance required. It's just all about full-on power and speed. And coming around the home corner, it's going to be underneath the time required. So we have now an early leader, 40.090. 40.090. The 29-year-old is leading after 3 athletes have graced the velodrome. She'd be happy with that.
Yes, well, on the top of the leaderboard at this early stage, but we do have 14 cyclists in total, a mixture of C4 and C5. But Anna Harkowska from Poland is the next cyclist. She is in the C5 category, and she's 36 years of age, already came 4th in the individual pursuit for the C5 category. And is pretty handy on the road and picked up a couple of medals in the road and track disciplines in London. 3 silver medals in London in total. And she was 4th in the time trial 4 years ago, so she'll be hoping to edge her way into the medals this time round.
Well, she'd like a medal because she was just nudged out in the individual pursuit final, in the C5 3,000 metre individual pursuit final. And a couple of big deep breaths, every ounce of capacity required. And those legs need to give her a powerful start. Well, Team Poland, including the coach, they're not going to miss a minute, even though we've got cameras everywhere in the velodrome. He's even got the iPhone out, as it is Harkowska heading towards the back straight. How is she shaping up here? At this point, she is in front narrowly.
Can she build through this? Just 0.183 under the required time to go to the top of the leaderboard. The bell sounds for the final lap. She's dropped a little bit of ground there, but let's see if she can find that rhythm, find that power, and absolutely sprint to the finish line from here.
Yes, tries to stay steady and aerodynamic as well to try and capitalise on the clock. 40.090. It's going to be, in the end, a second slower. So the last 250 metres, she was unable to hold that endurance and the power, and it was 41.094. No factor time required, being a C5 classification.
So we're 4 athletes into our entire field of 14 athletes, and remembering that we still have some very good athletes still to come. Paralympic record holder and a world record holder, but this woman on your screen now is Megan Fisher from the United States. We've already seen her win a bronze medal in these games in the individual pursuit. She's 33 and she'll be hoping to add to that tally.
So Megan Fisher, Michael Creed there carrying out. Megan, the national coach, has already had a little bit to celebrate over the previous few days and has competed in para-triathlon, including the World Championships. They were staged in London some 3 years ago. But she's a doctor, motivational speaker, physical therapist. It's a busy life. Is she going to be a medalist here in Rio? The 33-year-old on her way over the 500 metres in this women's C4, C5 500-metre time trial.
So working hard, staying out of the saddle, Megan Fisher settling down. She's about half a second off the pace here. We need to see her maintain that speed and even grow that lead if she can at this early stage of the competition. She is managing to do that now.
So she's given it everything in the first half a lap of this time trial, and she's increasing that speed here. This has been impressive by Megan Fisher. This is clinical time trialing in front of us, and that's a good time. 39.541 factored, and that's going to be a real benchmark to chase down now. She's raised the bar.
And the first athlete to average above 45 kilometres an hour so far in this competition. And we'll have to wait and see whether she can feature in the medals as we work through the rest of the field. But a great ride, and she's pretty happy with that, thanking the crowd, thanking her supporters, and such support here at the velodrome. Not just for the Brazilian athletes, but for all countries competing, as we see Sue Powell, the silver medalist from the individual pursuit earlier in this program at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. She's 49 years of age. These are Powell's final games. She's also going to compete on the road as well, so a very busy schedule with 5 events in total.
So made her international debut for Australia 7 years ago. That was at the World Championships in Italy. She was a state-level hockey player before an accident, sustaining a spinal cord injury playing that beloved sport of hockey. And Sue has made a real fist of it here in paracycling. Already a silver medalist here in Rio. And there's different techniques at the start, especially watching the clock, but she was counting the clock down, just showing how focused she requires to be. And let's get a gauge after 125 metres for Susan Powell for Australia, keeping in mind this is going to be her last Paralympics, she believes, and she's competing in 5 disciplines here at the Rio Paralympic Games. She wants to go out with a bang, and at this stage she's doing really well.
Well, Sue Powell powering through 0.6 of a second under the required time. She's going to want to build on this. Her club at home in Canberra, the Vikings, are going to be cheering her on in Australia. It's the middle of the night, but here she comes down the straight. Sue Powell is going to come in 40.293. That's the raw time. The factored time, 38.979. And now she's going to have to wait and see how the rest of the field performs. But a very solid performance from Canberra's Sue Powell.
Well, the Vikings are going to be happy with that, with a time of 38.979, the factored time, getting up to a speed of 46.17 kilometres an hour. And you can see the pressure, everything left on the velodrome there from Susan Powell. Next out, Jennifer Schubel of the USA, 40 years of age, also competing in the 5 disciplines here, 6th in the women's 3,000 metre individual pursuit, early doors at Rio 2016, and was a triathlete and duathlete at national level before an accident, a part of the US military, and this is her 2nd Paralympic Games. Jennifer Schubel, or Schubler.
Yes, she's racing in 5 events as well. She'll also feature in the team sprint on day 4 of the track cycling program. This is, of course, day 3, a very busy schedule for many of these athletes. Jennifer Schubel, she's 40 years of age, and in this event in London, in the road version of this event rather, she finished 6th, and in Beijing, when this was an LC1 to a CP4 event, she took home the gold medal. What can she achieve here?
So Jennifer Schubel, who resides in Birmingham in the United States of America, the city that will stage the 2021 World Games, and it is Schubel at her 2nd Paralympic Games here. The time, the benchmark at this stage, 22.08 at halfway. How's she going? She is in front, but narrowly. It's oh so close.
So Jennifer Schubel has her work cut out here. She needs to build on that lead. Remember, there's quality cyclists still to come. 0.244 under the mark at this stage as she rounds around the final turn into the straight. The time to beat, 38.979, is the factored time. And 38.754 for Jennifer Schubel, the C5 athlete. So her time stands 38.754. It's enough to put her in the gold medal position.
At this very early stage, with still 7 riders to come, including the favourite for a medal, Sarah Story, Dame Sarah Story, who already has the 12 Paralympic gold medals, but throwing everything into that ride, Jennifer Schubel. She leads ahead of Susan Powell from Australia. In fact, it's USA everywhere at the moment in 1st, 3rd and 4th, with Australia 2nd and 5th, and that is after 7 riders.
So we're halfway through the competition now, and we're just getting quicker and quicker, it seems. Our next rider from Argentina, you can see on our screen, is the 30-year-old Mariela Analia Delgado, and she's already finished 7th in the individual pursuit at these games, and might be fancying her chances for a medal here.
Has competed at international level in able-bodied road and track racing. Made her debut for Argentina some 3 years ago. 30 years of age. Resides in Rafaela. So with the C5 classification next to her name, it is a case of running down that time of Schubel's, which is 38.754. At the early sectional, it was 13.58, and she's a 2nd off that, so it's been a sluggish start in this 500-metre time trial. No time for slow starts, and unfortunately, she's losing ground at the halfway mark.
So Delgado got her work cut out for her here. Let's have a look again. 1.5 seconds. She's managed to bring it back ever so slightly. Delgado round the final bend. She's entering the home straight. She's got to catch 38.754. She's good enough to be in 5th position at this stage. 40.222. And Jennifer Schubel, who has led the competition, managed to average 46.5 kilometres an hour. Not a lot in it, 44.75 kilometres an hour for Delgado.
That's great to see. The Argentinian lad just willing Mariella on, as we move on now to Catherine Horan of New Zealand, the 41-year-old competing in 3 disciplines here at the Rio Paralympic Games, just outside the medals, beaten in the bronze medal match-up in the individual pursuit, but she'll also be competing in the time trial on the road. Catherine Horan, who has represented New Zealand on the cycling velodrome, but also on the track, winning a silver medal in Beijing in athletics, and made her debut for New Zealand in this particular sport, cycling at the World Championships in 2014.
So only took up paracycling in 2012 after the birth of her 3rd child, and reassessed how much time she could devote to sport, and now at 41 years of age, as we mentioned, finished 4th in the C4 3,000 metres individual pursuit, so disappointingly just outside the medals, and be very, very keen to make amends here. C4 category cyclist from New Zealand.
So a picture of focus and concentration. She's ready to go.
Well, she knows what it's like to compete at top level sport, having competed, as you said, at those 2 Paralympics as a track and field athlete. Her first as a paracyclist.
Countdown is on. Well, she was having trouble containing at the start. She wanted to get going and heads towards the back section of the velodrome with the early indication at 14.0, and at this stage she's in front by 0.3. It's a good start for the New Zealander.
It has indeed been a very good start for the New Zealander. The time to beat on the clock, 38.754 overall. And Catherine Horan, or Kate as her friends and family know her, she is a C4 athlete, so the time we see will be brought down slightly by that factor. As she comes over the home straight, she might be under anyway.
Yep.
And she is, so the time of just over 38 seconds gets brought down to 37.750, and that is enough to put her in the gold medal position.
It just keeps on changing. That's why we love the time trial. Catherine Horan is now in the lead, 37.75, with still 5 excellent riders to follow. Schubel in second from the USA, and it's going to be highly unlikely now for Susan Powell from Australia to hold on to that bronze medal position, which she currently stands in.
Yes, looking at the competition still to come, it will be a tough ask to hold on to that bronze medal position. We still have world record and Paralympic record holders across 2 categories, the C4 and C5, still to come in this competition, and not to mention 2 riders from Great Britain. The first is Crystal Lane on your screen. She's a C5 category rider and 30 years of age, and already has a silver medal to her name in the individual pursuit at these games.
Born in Chelmsford but resides now in Manchester, where all of the cyclists live, near the velodrome there in Manchester. It's staged the World Championships and Commonwealth Games, of course, but that's where they train, and a part of 4 disciplines here. Silver medalist, as you mentioned, in the individual pursuit. Got a late call up for London 2012, but has had a more steady preparation here for 2016. She did make her World Championships debut in 2011. So looking quite relaxed, Crystal Lane, but there's nothing relaxed about the 500-metre time trial. And just making sure everything is okay with the bike. Every split second counts in this event.
So in those games in London, she rode in the individual pursuit, but not in this event. But earlier this year at Montechiari in Italy, she managed a 3rd place at those World Championships, and 2nd place last year when the championships were held in the Netherlands. So she does have good form across this distance and will be really in the hunt for a medal at the end of competition here.
So Crystal Lane being introduced to the crowd, another very healthy crowd at the Velodrome here, seating about 5,500 people. The Rio Olympic Velodrome. And I've got to say, it's probably been one of the noisier venues of the Paralympic Games. It's good stuff.
So Crystal Lane from Great Britain. Team GB, of course, hunting for yet another gold medal to add to their track cycling tally. And let's get an early indication of how that start's been for Crystal Lane. Well, she's just off the pace point, 2:10, but she will build through the next lap and a half. It's certainly not over yet. And she has managed to pare back that deficit by 1/100th of a second. So let's see.
So Great Britain have been able to match what they did in London on the track in cycling. She's underneath now. She's upping the ante into the straight. It's going to be close. She's done it. It's 0.4 less, so that's an excellent performance by Crystal Lane. And she has made a statement of her own. It is a factored time of 37.34 and leads the overall group ahead of Horan from New Zealand, Schubel USA in third, and that relegates Powell from Australia to fourth and Fisher from the USA in fifth place, with still Sarah Story to come, and also the Paralympic record and world record holder Zhu Zhufang still to come, along with Kadina Cox, who is the world record holder in the C4 category, and Ruan Jianping, the Paralympic record holder in the C4 class. So there's plenty of top-notch talent to come still.
Well, there certainly is. So it does become a nervous time for those who are in the medal positions at the moment, just to see whether they can stay in the mix or will drop out of the top three. And expect a big reception here for Sarah Story, the woman on your screen.
Gold medalist in the women's C5 3,000 metre individual pursuit here in Rio 2016, and it was a poignant medal for her. It was her 12th, which means that she becomes the most successful British female Paralympian of all time. Gold medals everywhere at World Championships. We won't read through those for you, but on the road she was a gold medalist in the time trial and the road race in London, and on the track the winner of the time trial, the individual pursuit as well, and the gold medalist in the 3-kilometre pursuit in Beijing. She loved the box set here as well.
Please now welcome to the track the Paralympic champion already here in Rio in the individual pursuit, the defending champion.
Sarah Story, the defending champion and 38 years of age. Such a decorated career, as you mentioned, and riding in the C5 classification. Can she add to her already impressive tally for Team GB?
So the 38-year-old Dame Sarah Story is on her journey, knowing full well she needs to post a real quick one here, with 3 record holders to follow after her. But she is a record holder, a history maker in her own right. At this point, she's 0.2 less. So this is a good job so far.
It is an excellent job so far, 0.14, so just dropping a little on that half lap. Let's get another update now. Let's see how fast she's going, 0.182. She's paring a little back again now as she goes around to the final straight and comes across the line in 37.068. It is enough to put her in the gold medal position. Sarah Story at this stage on track to make even more history.
She had to knock off her own countrywoman there in Crystal Lane, and she's holding the gold medal place at the moment. But I say at the moment because she has another rider from Great Britain to contend with, Kadina Cox, who we know is very fast because she set the world record in the C4 classification at this year's World Championships. So she comes in fine form indeed. So hold on to your hats. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be hair-raising. It's going to be so close. But at the moment, Sarah Story holds the gold medal, but for how long?
Well, and wouldn't the team from Great Britain love to go 1, 2, 3 and here? And at the moment they're sitting 1 and 2, and we still have another rider from Great Britain to come. But let's not discount this woman in front of you, Zhu Fang from China. She's a C5 rider, and she holds the Paralympic record from Beijing 8 years ago and set the world record 2 years ago in Mexico. So what has she got here? This is her second event of a busy track cycling program. She was 5th in the women's 3,000 metres individual pursuit, the C5. So outside the medal races and medal finals there, but plenty of experience at international level. Resides in the beautiful city of Shanghai in China, and also part of that national team that trains under Li Peng.
Well, Zhu Fang, she was a history maker in her own right, because when she competed at the Athens Paralympics back 12 years ago, she was the first Chinese athlete to win a Paralympic gold medal in this particular sport of paracycling, and has that world record of 36.379. That was set at a World Championships over 2 years ago in Mexico, but the Paralympic record was set in Beijing 8 years ago. So is she in that form? Time will tell. Sarah Story's time of 37.068. Zhu Fang is a C5 athlete, so we don't have to worry about the factored time here. So that is what she's chasing, 37.068. And just being roared on by the Chinese coach, Zhu Fang. And the first indication down the back section is she's leading by half a second.
Well, she is off to a ripping start here, over half a second as we come through the first lap. Let's see whether she's building, and she is. It's almost a full second quicker than Sarah Story's previous time.
If anything, she's ramping it up. Zhu Fang comes off the back over a second in front. This is going to throw down the gauntlet. Indeed, world record. 36.004. Zhu Fang has broken her own world record in the C5 classification. Is it enough, though, for a gold medal with 2 riders still to come?
Well, what a fantastic ride there. She just got quicker and quicker. A solid start, of course. It was faultless, really. A beautiful ride, and she will be very, very happy with that indeed. And certainly she has a teammate, Ran Jianping, still to come, and then Kadina Cox from Great Britain. They're both C4 riders. And so Zhu Fang with the world record in her category. That will stand regardless of what happens with the next 2 cyclists, because they both ride in a separate category. So even though they're grouped together, C4 and C5 riders for this event, the separate records remain.
So the mouth-watering prospect is that the world record holder, Zhu Fang, has beaten her own world record, clocking 36.004. But we have the Paralympic record holder in the C4 classification to come, and the world record holder in the C4 classification to come. Let's concentrate first of all on Ran Jianping, who is 31 years of age, is the Paralympic record holder from London in this category, the time of 38.425.
And she'll have high hopes for this event, because in the individual pursuit she finished 7th, and in this event in London was a bronze medalist, so she'll be hoping for a medal.
So 2015 was her top year, the top of the world. Has she been able to sustain that form leading into the Paralympic Games? Making making her debut at World Championships 6 years ago, but this is a big moment. This is her forte after being 7th in the individual pursuit earlier in the program.
So 2nd in the C4 500 metres time trial in Montechiari earlier this year. So showing some recent good form. Well, I think Li Peng is getting an awful lot of exercise these championships, because look at him go. He's wheeling all his cyclists on, wheeling them down the velodrome. And an early indication here of just how much good that's done. 0.104, so a solid start from the Chinese athlete.
So the time to beat on the bottom left of your screen gives the indication of what time, what sectionals they have to ride in the C4 classification to get over the top of the overall time. And at this stage, it's going to be slower from Ruan.
Ruan Ping coming down the final straight. What has she got left in her legs? 37.739, so a Paralympic record in her class, which is the C4. What a fantastic effort, and she's going to finish with a medal. We just don't know what colour yet. Will it be silver or bronze? One cyclist still to come.
So that's how high calibre this particular 500-metre time trial is, because Ruan's broken her own Paralympic record, but it wasn't enough when it was factored down to beat the world record time of Zhu Fang in the C5 classification. So this has been a gold medal that's been hard to win. At the moment, it's China 1-2. Sarah Story holds on to 3rd from Great Britain, but the world record holder in the C4 classification, Kadina Cox, is the last to go.
And Kadina Cox only set that world record earlier this year, so we know that she's shown some fantastic form in 2016, and she'd have to be feeling extremely confident coming into this event. She's already managed
a bronze.
A bronze medal. I'm just checking my notes here, but she's managed a bronze medal in the 100 metres T38 sprint in the track and field. And
that's right.
Actually, yes, she had to convince the National Paralympic Committee that she could compete in both events at these Paralympic Games. They had recommended she pick either cycling or track and field, but she said, please, please, let me do them both. She said, I know I'm good at both of them, and she's proven it so far with her bronze. This is her first track cycling event of these Games, a full program. She has 5 events across the track and field and then the track cycling.
It's an extraordinary resume, because she, at one stage of her career, also trained to be in skeleton in the winter sport. So an amazing athlete. Kadina Cox, extremely versatile, and well, we're saying that 5 disciplines and the cycling's busy here, but she's competing at 2 different venues. This has to be a big ride.
And she's off, and well, what a full schedule she has, and it's hard to imagine backing up already after a bronze medal performance in the track and field. But here we go. Look at this, 0.723 under the required time for that gold medal. This is an incredible performance here, Kadina Cox.
So the time you've got to look at is 37.456, because that is her world record in the C4s. If she's able to break it, it's going to be a medal, and it's going to be close to gold. She's going to break her own world record. She's not going to break it, she's going to annihilate it. 35.716, world record, ratified down to 34.598. We've saved the best to last. She's the gold medalist.
And can you believe it is raining gold for the team from Great Britain? Such stunning performances. And she averaged 52 kilometres an hour for that sprint of 500 metres. So no other cyclist in the competition today was able to get above 50 kilometres an hour. She rode at 52, the C4 category athlete. So impressive. Gee, what a performance. And it does mean that China is going to come in with both the silver and the bronze medals. Sarah Story has been pushed to 4th position.
Well, she's delighted, Kadina Cox, and what a Paralympics she's having. So medals in 2 different sports. Kadina Cox, a gold medal and has bettered her world record in the C4 classification. Zhu Feng, she couldn't do much more. She broke the world record, her own world record in her classification. Ruan Jiangping in third place ahead of Story and Lane as we head down the list. Great rides from Powell, Fisher, Bosco, but it was a powerhouse display from the 500-metre women's time trial. It was high calibre.
Well, it's difficult not to be in awe of Kadina Cox, and particularly knowing that she really had to argue her case to compete across not just disciplines, across sports at these games. And she's only 25 years of age, so you'd have to think the future is extremely bright for Kadina Cox. She has multiple sclerosis and obviously is thriving on the bike and staying active and excelling in her chosen sports, and we hope to see a lot more of her as the setup begins for the first medal ceremony.
So that's coming up, but 2 time trials down. The men's C1, C2, C3 1,000-metre time trial, where it was a world record in the C1 classification from Li Zhangyu, and in the 500-metre time trial, the C4, C5, it was Kadina Cox, world record in the C4 classification, taking the gold medal, and the world record in the C5 classification for the silver medal to Zhu Feng. So we've actually seen in 2 disciplines already in this session, 3 world records have been toppled.
Well, some stunning performances at the velodrome, and the crowd has been really getting behind these cyclists as well, which has been a huge help, urging them on. But Kadina Cox, gee, I tell you what, 52 kilometres an hour, the only cyclist to get above 50 kilometres an hour in that particular event. Very, very impressive indeed. And well, we do wish her all the best for the remainder of these games. A very, very packed schedule here, representing Great Britain. So we're just going to wait for now for the victory ceremony, and then we'll bring you some more action from the track. Still to come, the men's C4 and men's C5 individual pursuit finals. Categories are not combined, they are separate, so there's a bronze and a gold ride-off in each category. We'll have further details for you on those athletes shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the men's C1 to C3 1,000-meter time trial.
Senhoras e senhores, a cerimônia de premiação da prova de quilômetro contra o relógio C1, C2 e C3 masculino.
So here we have the athletes coming out and forever happy.
He's got plenty to smile about, 2 gold medals.
Well, he does indeed, and he's become an absolute crowd darling here. They love him here at the velodrome. And look, this is the victory ceremony for the men's C1, 2 and 3 1,000 metres time trial. If you're just joining us, it was a ripping event this morning, and well, here we have it, China. winning another gold medal in this track cycling competition to add to their impressive tally of the games thus far.
So leading into the event, Anu Niehuis on the left held the world record. It was broken by Li Zhangyu. And then in an attempt to break it back, Niehuis couldn't quite do it, and the gold medal won by China. UCI President Mr. Brian Cookson officiating at the presentation.
As medalhas serão entregues pelo Sr. Brian Cookson, presidente da União Ciclística Internacional, acompanhado pelo Sr. Luis Riff.
Joining him is Mr. Luis Riff, Rio 2016 director.
Bronze medalist representing Canada.
Medalha de bronze representando Canadá, Tristan Chernow.
So it was a great performance by the Canadian. He's had a good game so far, that's for sure, and the bronze medal now being presented to him. He'll be very pleased with that. It's very high quality competition. Chernow, C2 classification cyclist. Receiving a mascot there and a little message to the friends and family at home.
Silver medalist representing the Netherlands.
Medalha de prata representando os Países Baixos, Arnold Niehuis.
There's been fantastic support from the Dutch crowd at the velodrome.
Gold medalist and Paralympic champion representing the People's Republic of China.
Medalha de ouro e campeão paralímpico representando a República Popular da China, Li Zhangyu.
He's having a great time, isn't he? He's loving it.
Well, he is in second gold medal at these games and a world record. There's nothing to be happier about, really. And the crowd love him here too.
Ladies and gentlemen, the anthem of the People's Republic of China.
Senhoras e senhores, o hino da República Popular da China.
Well, a very good day out indeed for Li Zhangyu from China, doing his nation proud and really doing the sport proud as well. His second gold medal from the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. And gee, you can't wipe that grin off his face, and why would you? Absolutely thrilled to be on the winners' podium again.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to turn our attention back to the track as we bring you the men's C4 4,000 metres individual pursuit finals. The first race will be for the bronze medal, and then we'll bring the riders to the track to race for the gold.
Senhoras e senhores, dentro de instantes teremos uma grande final, a perseguição individual C4 masculino. Primeiro a disputa da medalha de bronze e na sequência a disputa pela medalha de ouro. Lembrando que logo depois teremos a final da classe C5 masculino com a participação do brasileiro Lauro Xamã.
So we move on to the men's 4,000 metre individual pursuit for the C4 classification. Starting off with the race for bronze, we see Scott Martin from the USA on screen. His qualification time was 4:48.063, and that was about 3.7 slower than his opponent here on the other side of the track. That's Diego Duanes Gomez from Colombia. So on the far side of the track is Scott Martin from the USA in this 4,000 metre men's C4 individual pursuit. Duanes Gomez, 26 years of age, and it is Scott Martin turning 35 years of age today.
Well, wouldn't this be a lovely birthday present for the Army veteran? He came 15th in the time trial. I'm sure he'd absolutely love to get a medal. So it's a speed endurance event. 4,000 metres, very painful, and remembering that both cyclists, well, they look pretty close at this stage, but both cyclists have already ridden the qualifying in the first session of day 3, so it's a tough ask to back up later in the day. You only have a few hours off, have to have something to eat, plenty to drink, and recover those legs.
Yeah, so if anything, Duanes Gomez has a slender margin over Scott Martin as we split the screen, and heading towards the first real guide, and at this point in time it's Martin leading by about 0.4 of a second. So there's little in this bronze medal clash at the moment, remembering that with the individual pursuit in the race for medals, if there's a capture, the race is over and the capturer is declared the winner of the race. And at the 1,000 metre mark, it was Martin 1:16.172, leading Duanes Gomez by only 0.8, 1:16.969.
Yes, well, looks as though they're reasonably closely matched at this stage. It doesn't look like a capture might be on the cards, but what's going to be telling will be the final kilometre of this race, the final 1,000 metres, because it is just so difficult, and one of these athletes may well tire, remembering that the bronze medal is at stake.
So the man who lives in Colorado Springs, born in Michigan City, Scott Martin. Jeffrey is his actual first name, but he likes to be referred to as Scott Martin, and he leads by over a second here. He's competing in 5 disciplines at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games cycling program, finished 15th in the 1,000 metre time trial.
And Duanes Gomez from Colombia, 26 years of age, so he is 9 years younger, well, 10 years younger, given Scott Martin's birthday is today, but he will be looking for this medal because he was fourth in this event in London.
And this might be a bit of a breakthrough performance for Scott Martin because he was just outside the medals at the World Championships some 2 years ago in the 4,000-metre individual pursuit and finished 6th in the Pan American Games in Toronto last year. But this could be his biggest result to date, a Paralympic medal, with bronze being the colour. He needs to sustain this now at the 2,000-metre mark. He was leading Duanes Gomez by over a second. Martin's time was 2:25.837. Duanes Gomez's time was 2:26.94, now heading towards the 3 kilo mark.
Well, they are very closely matched and riding at a similar pace at the moment. The lead has just been hovering around that 0.7, of a second in Martin's favour, but we'll get a good look again at the 3,000-metre mark to see how the two are faring. And as we see it there, it's still the advantage, and he's managed to scale it up just a little, Scott Martin.
I think this is going to be a bit of a thriller. Law, yes, he's clawing it back. Duanes Gomez to 0.2, so it's almost level pegging now with only 3 laps of the velodrome to go. Make that 0.1, so it's almost dead level at the moment between Scott Martin and Diego Duanes Gomez, and he's got into the front, the Colombian. He's now in front, but it's very close, and we've only got 2 laps of the velodrome to go. The American needs to dig deep. His coach is urging him on, but now it's to 0.1.
Well, this is an extraordinary ride from the Colombian. He's really got that kick in the final kilometre. As we were saying earlier, this speed endurance event is so painful, so difficult in these final stages. 1 lap to go. There's the bell, and Duanes Gomez remains in front, but by less than a second.
It's less than a second, but he's coming home with a wet sail. So much energy at the end of this 4,000-metre men's C4 individual pursuit, and it's going to be a bronze medal to Colombia. In the end, it was 2.23 as he salutes the crowd. A big moment for Diego Duanes Gomez, the 26-year-old, an overall time of 4:45.3, riding at 50.4 kilometres an hour, and has worn down Scott Martin of the USA.
Well, Scott Martin started out so well, and look, there wasn't much in it in the end. Across 4 kilometres, just about 2 seconds. It's not much at all. It's not a very big margin, but in the end, Duanes Gomez just had the endurance, had the conditioning to be able to back up after a hard-fought battle in qualifying this morning to make sure he got into the top 4 to race off for this bronze medal. And supporters very emotional there. Well, that is fantastic news for Colombia, fantastic news for Duanes Gomez. And oh, that's great to see.
It's one of the best individual pursuits we've seen at these Paralympic Games. Look at that, the pouring out of emotion. All of the hard work, it's worth it. Draping the Colombian flag around him. And now we move on to the gold medal final, where we see the world record holder Josef Metelka from Slovakia up against this man Carl Bridgewood, the 27-year-old from Australia.
And you'd have to think that Metelka fancies his chances here. He was so quick in the qualifying. He set a Paralympic record of 4:29.112, and also set the world record in this event in Montechiari in Italy at the World Championships earlier this year.
Yes, 4:29.112, the qualifying time, which was the Paralympic record. Bridgewood's time was 4:38.639. So on paper, there was about 8 or 9 seconds between them in qualifying, so Metelka goes in as a short price favourite for the gold medal. So it's Bridgewood on the far side of the velodrome and Metelka on the near side. Can Bridgewood steal a bit of a march over Metelka, who just is so comfortable over the long distance? And at this stage, Bridgewood is going to power out and just lead Metelka And after the first lap, Metelka's going to claim him straight away and lead by 0.2 of a second.
So Metelka already has a silver medal from these games, and a very experienced campaigner at the age of 30. He'll also cross over to the road cycling discipline, as we see Kyle Bridgewood just about half a second or a little over off the pace at this stage.
Well, already there's 0.8 in this, so Metelka is making a statement in the first kilo of this individual pursuit. Bridgewood has to hang tough. Metelka, he looks like a man on a mission. Already the Paralympic record holder. He could easily re-break that. The world record might be in his sights because he's in form. He only did it 5 months ago. 4:26.924 is the world record time. So this could be something out of the box from the Slovakian. Bridgewood, assured a silver medal, would like to try and dent that margin.
We already know with Metelka that he can ride about 2.5 seconds quicker than the time he posted in qualifying this morning. So that is an ominous sign, given he annihilated the field really in the qualifying, and he's going to be looking, he's going to hope in the next couple of laps that he might be able to see Bridgewood coming down the straight and have the prospect of catching him.
Metelka is 30 years of age and resides and trains in Oxford in Great Britain, but represents Slovakia, has some decent form in world championships on the road, but the track is really his forte. He has been the world champion for 3 seasons in this 4,000 metre individual pursuit. This is his race. He's a good time trialer as well, but he's been runner-up over the last 3 world championships. This is his event.
Yes, fair to say it's his pet event, and if you look at that lead he's opened out, it's pushing onto the 4-second mark, and there is a chance he might round onto this straight and he might be able to spy Kyle Bridgewood there. Can he reach the Australian? Well, let's see. There's nothing like a bit of motivation when you can see the rider you're pursuing down the straight.
But has the ability to just power through the pain barrier here, Joseph Metelka, and just keep so consistent over a long journey of 4,000 metres. The Australian contingent roaring on Bridgewood, trying to stave off Metelka, but he really is hunting him down quickly here. He is a man on a mission heading towards the 3,000 metre mark. They're a lap off that. It looks as though a capture's on the cards, and there is the gold medal to Slovakia.
Well, Joseph Metelka, we won't get an overall time, but it doesn't matter in the end. He's had a fantastic ride there. We knew he was going to be strong, and in the end, the Australian has to settle for silver.
He was nice and pumped. A world record may have been on the cards, but he doesn't care about that. He's the world champion and he's the Paralympic champion. They can't beat him at the moment in the men's 4,000 metre individual pursuit.
Hand over of the flag there. And make sure that doesn't get stuck in the wheels if you hold it that low. So,
and I guess it's difficult too at this stage when you've been captured like that in a gold medal final to really take in what you've achieved. But remembering that plenty started in this 4,000 metre individual pursuit qualifying, and second best, Kyle Bridgewood. It's a good performance, silver medalist.
yes, well, often if you speak to the athletes, they do say it just takes a few moments to reflect and then celebrate the silver medal.
Yeah, he's at the peak of his powers, this man, isn't he? 30 years of age, dominating in his event, and that's been the best celebration we've seen over the 3 days of track cycling now. He might be creating a new sport by the look of it.
That is fantastic, and nice to see someone not taking things too seriously here, relaxing and enjoying the crowd as well. The crowd loves him too.
Well, he's in the right country if he wants to have a dance.
Oh, he sure is.
So great scenes.
Yeah, plenty of willing participants in his victory dance there, and well, let's see, he might carry on when the victory ceremony comes around as well.
Have a look at this. I think he is creating a new sport. Some sort of freestyle bike dancing.
Just making sure his upper body gets a good workout as well.
Well, it's just about been the biggest cheer in the velodrome over 3 days. He showed some excellent dancing prowess there. So, the smile on the face a mile long, and it was a great display from our gold medalist in the individual pursuit C4 category, Josef Bratelka from Slovakia. And very shortly, the victory ceremony for the women's C4, C5 500-metre time trial.
Victory ceremony for the women's C4, C5 500-metre time trial.
Senhoras e senhores, teremos dentro de instantes a cerimônia de premiação da prova de 500 metros contra o relógio C4 e C5 feminino, e logo depois a disputa da medalha de bronze com o brasileiro Lauro chamando a pista.
Gentlemen, the victory ceremony for the women's C4, C5 500-metre time trial.
Senhoras e senhores, a cerimônia de premiação da prova de 500 metros do contrarrelógio C4 e C5 feminino.
So this is the lady that's got the busy schedule, and what a unique program, being already a medalist on the track at the Olympic Stadium in the athletics, but now a gold medalist in the women's C4, C5 500-metre time trial on the velodrome.
Well, very, very impressive indeed. Kadina Cox winning yet another medal in track cycling for Great Britain. They've had a sensational start to these games in the cycling, and we're on day 3 of 4 of the track cycling program before the program then takes a short pause before heading into the road cycling events. So the Chinese athlete Ruan Jianping and Zhou Jufeng are the silver and bronze medalists.
By the president of Rio 2016, accompanied by the deputy chair of Channel 4.
As medalhas serão entregues pelo senhor Carlos Nussmann, presidente da Rio
The president of Rio 2016, Carlos Nussmann,
Mary Teresa Rainey, vice-presidente do Canal 4, Channel 4.
Deputy Chair of Channel 4 Television,
Bronze medalist,
also officiating.
representing the People's Republic of China.
Medalha de bronze, representando a República Popular da China, Ruan Jianping.
So after Great Britain dominated on day one, China have kicked back with a stack of medals, also in the cycling track. This was a high caliber contest. The 500 metre C4, C5 event. The silver medalist breaking the world record in her classification. Wasn't enough for a gold medal, that just shows you. See the mascot with the appropriately coloured hair there, the silver. She gave her all, and a new world record next to her name as well in this 500 metre time trial, Zhu Fang.
Gold medalist and Paralympic champion representing Great Britain.
Medalha de ouro e campeã paralímpica, representando a Grã-Bretanha, Cadina Cox!
So thanks to Cadina Cox, Great Britain better their tally from London, and she wins a medal in two sports, the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games, athletics and track cycling. President of Channel 4, I'm sure, delighted to present the gold medal to Cadina Cox of Great Britain. A rousing reception, and now it will be the national anthem once again of Great Britain here at the Rio Olympic Velodrome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the anthem of Great Britain.
Senhoras e senhores, o hino da Grã-Bretanha.
An emotional gold medalist, Cadina Cox of Great Britain. It was gold, Great Britain. China silver, China bronze.
Medalhistas paralímpicas.
two more victory ceremonies this evening. We're turning our attention now, though, to the final
Okay, so next up at the
of the
Rio
night. This is
Olympic
the men's
Velodrome, we have the men's C5 4,000 metres individual pursuit final. And expect a huge cheer in a moment as the Brazilian athlete Lauro Cesar Charman comes out to contest the bronze medal against Edwin Fabian Matiz Ruiz from Colombia.
C5 masculino com a disputa da medalha de bronze e logo depois a medalha de ouro.
So we know the crowd are having a fantastic time with the athletes here this afternoon, but gee, this is going to be a big reception. Charman riding in the second of his 4 events at his home Paralympic Games. 29 years of age, riding against the youngster, the 23-year-old from Colombia.
Ali os técnicos posicionando as bicicletas no bloco de partida para essa largada. Tomem as suas posições agora, que veremos a disputa da medalha de bronze neste momento na prova de perseguição individual da classe C5 masculino. São 4.000 metros. Vem aí representando a Colômbia, alinhando na meta o ciclista Edwin Fabian Matiz Ruiz, e representando o Brasil, o atual campeão pan-americano de estrada e contrarrelógio de Araraquara, que corre pela equipe de Santos, Lauro Cesar Charman.
So here he is, the Brazilian, Lauro Cesar Charman, who was 2.5 seconds slower than this man in their qualification round in the earlier session, Edwin Fabian Matiz Ruiz. But anything can happen. Second race of the day, fatigue can set in. And when you're racing for a medal, 2.5 seconds might not be that hard to chase down. So we have on the right Matiz Ruiz, on the left Charman, in this C5 classification, 4,000 metre individual pursuit. Far side is the Brazilian, top of the screen.
And look, the other factor being in a final like this is just how much the crowd gets behind you and well, propel you towards a superhuman performance, something you may not have otherwise been able to achieve, and the Brazilian has the early lead in this bronze medal ride-off.
There's plenty of noise in the velodrome at the moment, so we have the tail of the tape, a 23-year-old from Colombia and Matiz Ruiz against a 29-year-old from Brazil in Charman, and after the first 2 laps it is the Brazilian leading, but it's only 0.1 of a second.
Well, there's not much in this in the early stages, but remembering it's a speed endurance event, so we can't read too much into the early laps, of course, unless there was a huge deficit. But very evenly matched at the moment, and now Matiz Ruiz, the Colombian, has just stepped in front.
So having to keep his focus here, Matiz Ruiz, because he's got the local crowds cheering on his opponent. He leads by 0.2 of a second at the moment. So at the 1,000 metre mark, it was Matiz Ruiz 113.267, the Brazilian 113.551. So little in it, and it's still 0.2. So they're both holding their form at the moment. Gee, it's close. Look at that. It's virtually nothing now.
No, there's nothing in this race, and remembering we are still in the very, very early stages, not yet at the halfway mark, but 0.132, the Colombian has dropped behind again.
So on paper, he was quicker. He was 2 seconds quicker in the qualifying round. And let's have a look here now. Charman, he may have gone to the front here. I think he has, heading towards the halfway mark. Well, it's fluctuating now. That's how close it is. You don't see that too often. We haven't seen it at all during the Paralympic Games so far. It's now fluctuating, and Matiz Ruiz just holds a margin over Charman at the moment.
Well, these athletes are literally dueling it out lap by lap. And as you say, the lead changing hands. at each marker. And so it seems now the Colombian managing to stretch it now just to almost half a second. Can he hold it on?
Well, this is where Sharman has to try and forget the pain, because it's starting to slip away. The bronze medal's starting to slip away. It's out to 0.7. Matez Ruiz's endurance is coming into play, and it's almost up to a second now. So the Colombian all of a sudden finds himself in the box seat. At the 2,000 metre mark, Matez Ruiz was 2:21.80. Sharman was 2:22.2. So with 1,500 metres to go, we get another comparison, and it's now out past a second.
Well, the Colombian, what a performance. It is his first Paralympic Games. It is the biggest stage for the track cycling, for para-track cycling. And gee, let's hear the crowd. They're willing the Brazilian on, but it does seem that that deficit is just growing and growing, just ever so slightly. It's not insurmountable yet, but it is looking as though the Colombian has got one hand on that bronze medal.
The venue announcer encouraging the crowd to get behind Sharman. The chance for Brazil, but it's just not enough at the moment. 1.7. He's hanging in tough, the Brazilian, but the Colombian's just a little bit too quick. And at the 3,000 metre mark, Matez Ruiz was 3:30.52. Sharman was 3:32.23.
So less than 2 seconds in it, but we get another update here. It's 2.277. So just extending that lead. It's starting to look as though the bronze may be out of Sharman's grasp,
and he's losing his line to Sharman, as you saw there with the head-on shot. There's only 2 laps of the velodrome to go, and it's now out to 3 seconds. He's tired, the Brazilian, whereas Matez Ruiz is keeping a better line and is going to see this out to claim the bronze medal.
So there's the final bell. Geez, he'll be pleased to hear that. This will be hurting, this will be burning, but the Colombian has his hands on the bronze medal. Can he make it count? Can he finish off strongly?
Well, he'd be hoping to beat his earlier time of 4:38.9, which he set in the qualifying round. It's going to be similar. So he's been consistent. He's the bronze medalist, and it is a 4th place for Lauro Cesar Sharman of Brazil. But what an entertaining bronze medal race it turned out to be. Overall, it was Matez Ruiz 4:38.89, Sharman 4:43.25.
I don't feel that time deficit really does the race justice, because really for the first half of that race they were so evenly matched. It was only really in the last 1.5 kilometres that things blew out in favour of the Colombian, really showing that he has managed to recover and back up well from the qualifying earlier on day 3. And a great performance from the Brazilian.
Média de 50.8 km/h para Sharman, 51.632 a média horária do ciclista da Colômbia.
So we're rolling through things very quickly now, and we're into the gold medal final for the men's 4,000 metres individual pursuit in the C5 category.
Before you leave us here in the Rio Olympic Velodrome, ladies and gentlemen, please now welcome in the back straight, riding for Australia, Alistair Donohoe. And in the home straight, riding for the Ukraine, Rio De Janeiro.
So the Ukraine versus Australia in the men's C5 4,000 metre individual pursuit. And it is the 21-year-old Alistair Donohoe against the 29-year-old Yehor Dementiev from the Ukraine. 2.5 seconds between them in qualifying. So away they go, Donoghue on the far side of the track, Dementiev on the near side, the 29-year-old completing in 4 disciplines here at the Paralympic Games, including a 10th in the 1,000 metre time trial, and up against the Australian in Alistair Donohoe, who is 21 years of age, born in the Northern Territory, resides in Melbourne, and in road racing has had good results at World Championship level. Winner of the scratch race on the track 2 years ago, and the silver medalist in the individual pursuit at the World Championships in Italy this year. He's a second behind Dementiev at the moment.
And we know that Dementiev is very suited to this distance. Not only did he perform so strongly in the first session on day 3, but he did win 2 gold medals in London on the road. And it looks as though Donohoe is surging back here. He's certainly not dropping off the pace by any stretch.
Yes, he's dragged that back to 0.3, so that's excellent work from Alistair Donohoe in the early stages. At the 1,000 metre mark, we get a bit of a look here, and it is Dementiev 111.129, but not far away Donohoe. He's giving himself a real fighting chance here, 111.311 from the 21-year-old. In fact, it's level pegging now after another lap. So this is exciting. The Australian has now taken Dementiev, so remembering that he was 2.5 seconds slower over 4,000 metres in the qualifying. Did he contain himself a little at the end of that? Did he preserve some energy? Dementiev went pretty hard for that overall time of 4:35.534 as he left something in the lock of the Australian, because he leads by 0.12 after 1,500 metres.
So Donohoe, the cyclists still not quite at the halfway mark. We'll get a good indication at the 2,000 metre mark as to how they're going, but Donohoe looking very comfortable.
It's level pegging here. This is really close, heading towards halfway. It's going to be a nail-biter, this gold medal race in the men's C5 4,000 metre individual pursuit. Let's have a look at the 2,000 metre mark. Yes, it is Dementiev just, but only just. There's nothing in it.
Well, again, we're seeing this topsy-turvy leaderboard. Really, it's quite extraordinary how closely matched these riders appear to be in the final. As we're getting into the business end of proceedings here, it's still the Ukrainian in front, but not by much.
So topsy-turvy in the first half of this individual pursuit, but it's going to be Dementiev leading by 0.2. And we now have some 6 laps of the velodrome to go. What has Donohoe got left? You have to use every bit of capacity in your body for the 4,000 metre pursuit. And he is chasing hard, but Dementiev has the answers at this stage.
Well, what has he got left and when is he going to use it? That's going to be the key. He can't reach maximum speed now, only to fade in the final lap or 2. So has to be strategic, Donohoe.
So it is Dementiev leading by 0.6 now of Donohoe, so it might be slipping away for the Australian, heading towards the 3,000 metre mark. The time for Dementiev, 3:27.91. Donohoe, 3:28.87. So 1.4. It's all or nothing now for Donohoe. Can he grip on? Can he defy the pain barrier and lift? It doesn't look as though he can. Dementiev, his overall time in the qualifying, 4:35.53. He'd be hoping to beat that in the gold medal race, but Donohoe now just has to hold on, and he is on his way to a silver medal.
He is indeed, which is a fantastic achievement in itself, but he'd want the gold. There's 2 laps left, under 2 laps left, a lap and a half. And Dementiev looks as though he's going to see Donohoe down the straight, but I don't think he's going to catch him in time. The bell has sounded, final lap for Dementiev. How's he going to finish this off?
So will the Ukraine give all he's got in the final 125 metres, or is it a lap of honour? He's going to take the gold medal in this men's C5 4,000 metre pursuit. The smile on the face. He salutes the crowd. He's the gold medalist. Donohoe, a fantastic performance by the 21-year-old, a rising star, silver medalist for Australia in the 4,000 metre individual pursuit.
Well, Yehor Dementiev, 29 years of age, really just coming into his prime, and expect to see a lot more of him at top-level paracycling. We're going to get a victory dance this time. We've certainly got a flag.
Yes, it's almost turned into a party here in the velodrome after the earlier success from the Slovakian in Joseph Metelka in the 4,000 metre individual pursuit for the men's C4 classification. There is the Ukraine flag, and success, a clinical display in the end from Yehor Dementiev, the 29-year-old from the Ukraine, and another medal on the track for Australia, a silver medal this time, next to that gold medal that was claimed on day 2 of the Rio 2016 Paralympic program.
Well, it's been a very warm and welcoming crowd at the Velodrome, and Ukraine rightly taking their opportunity to celebrate with the victory of Yehor Dementiev. So we'll just take a few minutes to set up for the victory ceremony.
Ceremony for the men's C4 4,000 meters individual pursuits.
Senhoras e senhores, a cerimônia de premiação da perseguição individual C4 masculino.
Please welcome the medalists.
Por favor, deem as boas-vindas aos medalhistas.
So the victory ceremony for the men's C4 4,000 metre individual pursuit, and the gold medalist. We're looking forward to the celebration here on the podium from Joseph Metelka. He set a gold medal standard after the race with some great antics. He defeated from Australia in the final the gold medal race Kyle Bridgewood, the 27-year-old, and in the bronze medal position from Colombia was Diego Duanes Gomez, the 26-year-old from Bogota, who defeated Scott Martin from the USA in the bronze medal race. So gold to Slovakia, silver to Australia, bronze to Colombia, and now the official presentations to be made in the middle of the Velodromo Olimpico de Rio.
The medals will be presented by Channel 4 board member, accompanied by
Mr.
the
Dan
Prudential
Brook, Channel 4
Advisor
board member,
for
officiating.
inclusion of Colombia.
As medalhas serão entregues pelo Sr. Dan Brook, membro do Conselho do Channel 4, acompanhado pelo Sr. Juan Pablo Salazar, assessor presidencial de inclusão da Colômbia.
So, member from Colombia officiating here.
Bronze medalist, representing Colombia.
Medalha de bronze, representando a Colômbia, Diego Herman Dueñas Gomes.
So it was a hard-fought bronze medal race, defeating Scott Martin by only 2.2 seconds in the end. It was so close for most of the way. Nothing in it at the 1,000 metres. There's about 0.9 in it at the 2,000 metres. In fact, Martin was in front of Juanes Gomez at that point, but he started to chip away at that margin, and it was a really entertaining individual pursuit for the bronze.
That was super cool from Juanes Gomez. Nice little celebratory
Silver medalist,
fist pump there. As we move on to the silver medalist from Australia.
Medalha de prata, representando a Austrália.
The 27-year-old who was born in South Africa, resides in Australia. He still has the road race and the men's road time trial to come.
gold medalist and Paralympic champion, representing Slovakia.
Medalha de ouro e campeão paralímpico, representando a Eslováquia, Józef Metelka.
He is the world record holder in the men's C4 4,000 metre individual pursuit, the world champion over the last 3 years. And a Paralympic champion. It was a great display. It was terrific to see him ride. Here's the gold medalist, Józef Metelka from Slovakia.
Ladies and gentlemen, the anthem of Slovakia.
Senhoras e senhores, o hino da Eslováquia.
So it is gold for Slovakia, silver for Australia, bronze for Colombia. Joseph Metelka, our gold medalist. His nickname at home is Skywalker, and he's on cloud 9 tonight.
Bring you our final victory ceremony. Please stay with us as we present the men's 4,000 meters individual pursuit for C5 categories.
Senhoras e senhores, dentro de instantes teremos mais uma cerimônia de premiação da classe C5, então fiquem conosco para prestigiar esses super atletas aqui nas Paralimpíadas Rio 2016.
These presents don't really come for free. Your paycheck don't mean that much to me. Just take my hand and hold me tight. You'll never find my love. You buy me this and you buy me that. So bring over, bring over. You got me wrong and that's a fact. Something that you
cast a spell on me. You hit me like the sky fell on me. And I decided you look well on me. So let's go somewhere no one else can see you and me. Turn the lights out now I'll take you by the hand you another drink it if you can you spend a little time is slipping away from us, so stay with me, I can make you glad you.
the men's C5 4,000 meters individual pursuits.
Senhoras e senhores, a cerimônia de premiação da perseguição individual C5 masculina.
Please welcome the medalists.
Por favor, deem as boas-vindas aos medalhistas.
Presented by Channel 4 board member, accompanied by the presidential advisor for the inclusion of Colombia.
As medalhas serão entregues pelo Sr. Dan Brook, membro do conselho do Channel 4, acompanhado pelo Sr. Juan Pablo Salazar, assessor presidencial de inclusão da Colômbia.
Bronze medalist representing Colombia.
Medalha de bronze, representando a Colômbia, Edwin Fabian Matias Ruiz.
The winner of the bronze medal race in the C5 4,000 meter individual pursuit. He defeated from Brazil, Lauro Sharman, in what was a close battle that he was able to pull away despite the local crowd cheering for his opponent. Hard-fought bronze medal. 23-year-old from Colombia.
Silver medalist representing Australia.
Medalha de prata, representando a Austrália, Alistair Donohoe.
The Melburnian, Mr. Donohoe from Australia, 21 years of age.
Gold medalist and Paralympic champion representing Ukraine.
Medalha de ouro e campeão paralímpico, representando a Ucrânia, Yehor Dementier.
Fourth in London 4 years ago, goes three better. The 29-year-old from the Ukraine.
the anthem of Ukraine.
Senhoras e senhores, o hino da Ucrânia.
Well, it's a great moment for the 29-year-old Ukrainian Ihor Dementiev, the gold medalist in the men's 4,000 metres individual pursuit, the C5 division. So that is one of the highlights among many on day 3 of the track cycling program at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Still one more day of competition before the focus switches to the road cycling for these cyclists. Have it, the 3 medalists presented in the victory ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for creating a great atmosphere with us here at the Rio Olympic Velodrome.
So the end of the victory ceremony for the men's C5 4,000 metre individual pursuit. A gold medal to the Ukraine. It was silver for Australia and bronze for Colombia. It was fast and furious early with the time trials of the men's and also the women's. World records, 3 world records falling there, and then some exciting racing in the pursuits, ending day 3 of competition on the track here in the Velodrome, with still the road racing to come, of course, later in the 2016 Rio Paralympic program.
Às 10 horas no início das competições. Se vocês estiverem retornando para onde forem agora, suas casas ou qualquer outro lugar, utilizem o BRT, a melhor opção de transporte para a saída do Parque Olímpico do Rio de Janeiro. E esperamos que vocês compareçam amanhã para as provas que estarão em disputa nos Jogos Paralímpicos Rio 2016. Um grande abraço e até amanhã.
Well, there you have it, all the highlights from day 3 of the track cycling at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Still plenty more to come on day 4, but 5 medals were awarded today. A lot of success to China, and still a very, very busy program ahead for the majority of the cyclists as they finish off the track cycling and then have a brief pause before heading to the road.